Good evening, everybody. Tad Kozneski for Sports Video. Game 3, the final game of the 1994 Tri-County League Championship. It's going to be Fuelex versus Washington Township. We brought you Game 2 a few weeks ago here on Sports Video. Hope you enjoyed that game. And in that game, Mark, Washington Township came to play. They had their backs against the wall, and they came out fighting.
Absolutely, and in an 8-7 win, ascended to the third game. They came out offensively, did what they had to do. And the thing is, Tad, and you know this better than anyone facing the pitching, if Township has a lead late in the game, if Dr. Connor does that, it's going to be very tough because they have the great Scott Young. Here's a guy that hasn't allowed an earned run in 2 years in this league.
We saw him pitch in the late innings of that last game. Mark, any special strategy based on what you saw in Game 2? What do you expect to see happen tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's so difficult to tell. I think the rainouts, and for people that don't know, this game is being played on a Tuesday. It was originally supposed to be played on a Sunday. I think the 2 days of rainouts really helped your team because Johnny Githens, the workhorse pitcher who pitched 7 innings Friday night, now has a little bit of a rest to come back. Dr. Connor is going to be coming with Pete Conlon, a crafty pitcher, a guy that relies a lot on a knuckle curve and a lot of finesse and, you know, moving the ball around. So obviously whatever starting pitcher is hot, that's obviously going to be the key tonight.
Of course, as Mark said, the key for Washington Township to get into their bullpen with their closer, and things could get kind of interesting as we go along. And now we got to take a look at my team, Howard, the Fuelex team. It was an interesting game for us. We trailed 5-0, came back, 3-run homer. We were just seemed like we were just a day late and a dollar short in that one.
Yeah, Tad, that's exactly what it sounded like and looked like on the films when we watched the whole thing. But I believe it when this second inning, 5 runs put up real quick against the Fuelex team by Washington Township. And it seemed as though there was timely hits. I mean, they had bloopers. They were just getting inside, falling in appropriate places where you guys weren't standing at that particular time. And it kept their offensive momentum going. You guys, on the other hand, I'm talking about Fuelex, folks. Fuelex, on the other hand, stayed in the game, kept inching back. But anytime it looked like there was going to be a strong offensive move, all of a sudden a big defensive play would come up for the Washington Township team. And I think that's what you guys are going to have to do tonight is keep your offense going. Hope Githens' legs and gout doesn't flare up for him tonight. And I think it's going to come down to pitching again because, as everybody knows by now, Union Field is a home run hitting ballpark. So it should be a real interesting game for the championship. I got to say, I got to be non-partial this evening, but I got to wish you luck.
Yeah,
right? You want to wish them luck?
Yeah, we'll wish them luck. What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck?
And what's your average now? Did it fall down? It's not 434
No,
anymore. It's down around
something under that.
Under that, yeah.
Somewhere under that.
429. But I'll tell you, Ted, let's ask Tad something. This is a championship game, probably one of the bigger games you've played in your life. What are you feeling right now?
I think it's going to be real exciting. We're expecting a pretty good crowd tonight. It's a perfect night. I mean, right now there isn't a cloud in the sky. There's no wind blowing. Real comfortable. We'll probably be a little bit nervous as the game gets started. And I think, especially for me now, moving to the second slot, I usually bat ninth, and that's going to be interesting for me because I haven't batted second just about all year. So it should be interesting. Basically, our rule of thumb is we're going to go as far as Johnny Githens is going to take us tonight. So we'll see what happens. Mark and Howard will be bringing you all the action. I'll be standing somewhere out there. You'll get to make fun of me and have a good old time tonight here. Sports Video presents the 1994 Tri-County Championship.
All right, let's go. Mark Narducci back here along with Howard Clark on Sports Video. Championship game of the Tri-County game and Tri-County League Championship. Each team has won one apiece in this best-of-3 series. And Howard, one thing, the lights are not turned on yet, and that could be a problem here because it's getting pretty dark.
Yeah, it's dusk. This is when it troubles the outfielders the most. The last couple games that we've been here at this field, we've been hearing from the outfielders losing it in the lights, so maybe it's a godsend that the lights aren't on right now.
Chris Shover's leading things off for Fuelex. Fuelex coming into the game with a 22-11-2 record. Washington Township's Dr. Connor is 23-11-1. Pete Conlon on the mound for Dr. Connor. Pete is a very, very gutty pitcher. He had a bottle of aspirin in the dugout saying, "I'm ready, I'll go as long as I can here with He's had some assortment of injuries this season. We saw him in the last game, Howard. He had the hamstring injury, but just made some outstanding defensive plays. Saved a number of runs at first base.
Yeah, he had an excellent stretch out there, but you could tell him he was aching all the way. Here's a hit right up the middle.
Yep, Dave Kerner couldn't quite get to it, and Kerner also showed us some great leather in Game 2. So Chris Shover is a leadoff base runner for Fuelex, and again, that should be no surprise because Shover coming into tonight hitting .385.
This is a surprise here. This young man's moved up from batting ninth to second now.
Yeah,
this is Legs.
That's
Legs,
right.
our man Legs is up to bat.
Tad Kozaneski, the sports video outstanding announcer, but for once we are covering him. Tad, as he bunts it, makes an outstanding bunt. Conlon has only one play the first to Eddie Bates for the first out, but Kozaneski with a successful sacrifice bunt as Shover goes to second base.
Well, he moves the guys around the plate, and that's what his job was at that particular time. He did a nice job. I'll give him like a 6 for technique, though. What do you think?
Very good. Dominic Rayo up. Dom, the former Edgewood standout catcher, Gloucester County College. As we mentioned on the other telecast, Fuelex really started turning it around this season when Rayo came back. He was playing in another league out of state, came back here and really solidified that defense, and certainly has helped him. As we mentioned, he's hitting .400 on the season, 3 homers, 14 RBIs. And in the playoffs, he's been red hot. He's hitting an even .500 with 9 RBIs. Had 5 in one game.
Yeah, he's a excellent addition to the team.
Pop up, Chris Hoffman in center field. Makes the catch. Tagging up is Shover, who has good speed, and he'll make it on a heads-up play to third base.
Well, they got 2 outs on him, but they got the man over to third.
Again, Pete Conlon, the starting pitcher today, not a guy that's going to blow the ball by people. He realizes that. Had a fine career at Washington Township, a 1987 grad. Went to the University of Texas, ended up his career at Camden County College. Won 2 games for Dr. Connor in the regular season. Also won a very key playoff game that vaulted Dr. Connor into the championship series. And that'll bring up John Hughes, who takes the first pitch for a ball. And John is an interesting story, Howard. You talk about dedication. He was supposed to go back to college at Duke University yesterday, decided to wait over, play here, and he's literally leaving from the ballpark for Durham, North Carolina.
Well, at this minute, I think his car is being jiffy lubed. I think it's going to take him like 9-10 hours to get down there, so he'll be driving throughout the night. And like you said, he's got to be down there first thing tomorrow morning. So that is dedication to his team tonight.
John hitting .333 on this season. Doesn't play at Duke, but attends a school, health and physical education major. Former Overbrook standout who was, I know, one of our All-South Jersey outfielders when he played for Overbrook at the Inquirer. 3-0 the count. And there's strike 1.
Got him right on the inside corner there, and
by the way, the umpires, Gene Sassy behind the plate, Joe Quinn at first base, Rich Brash at second, and Walt Schaefer, the umpire, at third base. Ground ball foul. That'll make it a full count. So with Shover on third, 2 down. These 2 teams did try to play. The game was called off Sunday night because of rain, but they did try to play, and they played an inning that night, and it was washed out. Didn't even get a full inning, and then Monday it rained all day, and the fields are wet, and I think they made a very wise decision postponing it.
That's going to drop in there.
Drop. Kerner's not going to get it, and Fuelex is on the board with the first run on the RBI bloop base hit by John Hughes.
Well, Mark, that was a real timely hit there. You had that full count coming down with 2 outs, and really went down, and you could see he's not a happy camper up on the mound right now because he was only 1 pitch away from getting himself out of trouble, and now he's got 1 run up against the board.
And Hughes hit a pretty good pitch on the inside corner. He was jammed and just fought it off and got it to the outfielder. Pickoff now. Going to second is Hughes, and he gets in. So you credit him with a stolen base that time. John Hughes showing his speed.
Well, yeah, that's it. Hughes had great speed. He had a nice jump off of there because that was not a bad move off the mound to first base. They caught him dead to rights in there, but he has excellent speed. Got under the tag, no tag applied.
So John Hughes with the first stolen base of the game. He's now in scoring position. As John Githens takes that pitch for a strike. John hitting .430 on the season with 4 homers and 31 RBIs, and he's even increased that production in the playoffs where he's hitting .455.
And we're probably talking about his medical problems this evening, just getting in a uniform with all the pain that he's under right now.
Yeah, he took a few Advil before the game for his arm. You mentioned before in the pregame that he has the gout in the knee that slowed him up noticeably while playing right field in Game 2 here. Conlon just misses. He thought he had a strike there. Pete Conlon has his out pitch is a knuckle curve, and it's a very, very deceptive pitch. And that time Githens, I thought, showed some pretty good patience laying off.
Now, did you research gout for us?
Did not.
I know it has nothing to do with a blowfish. I know that for a fact.
Inside corner that time by Conlon, and Pete has shown in this first inning and through the years in seeing him pitch, he is not afraid to back batters off the plate and establish that inside corner. Githens swings through that one, and it counts now full.
He took him outside on that one. I noticed both Fuelex and Washington Township, the guys really go for those outside portions of the plate.
It's interesting because Dave Kerner was telling me before the game, or John Githens was actually telling me that he was playing right field the other night, and Washington Township was trying to hit the ball to him, knowing he couldn't run well, as there's ball 4.
Well, if you're got 2 offensive arsenals out here this evening, and they can place the ball very well. So that's why they went after Githens out there in right field. They knew he couldn't get to the ball. That's just good strategy.
Up now is Darryl Jenkins, the former Eastern Viking, hitting .309 on the season. 4 homers, 21 RBIs, and one of those home runs came in Game 2 as Fuelex was behind 5-0, and Jenkins hit a 3-run shot to get them within distance in that second inning. 8 total runs were scored in that inning.
I think we set a new attendance record out here at Union Field this evening, Mark. There's quite a few people out here, spectators, family, friends, relatives.
Nice crowd to see this game.
Bus came in with some Japanese camera people. That was a nice one right down the plate.
Conlon took something off that and strike on Jenkins, and Conlon quickly ahead 0-2. Runner at second is John Hughes. At first is John Githens, who walked. 2 down. Fuelex up 1-0 here in the top of the first inning.
Oh,
and he
went
gets
for that
him to
one.
swing. Strike 3. Jerkowski, the catcher, will go over the first to Bates for the 3rd out. John Githens on the mound for Fuelex, which scored 1 run in the top of the first inning. John has just had an outstanding Tri-County season. He's 10-1 with a 2.80 ERA. In the playoffs, he is 4-0 with a 2.80 ERA. I should say he's 3.10 ERA overall. But he's just been outstanding. And as we mentioned, he went 7 innings Friday night in what was a slugfest here in game number 1, and Fuelex winning 12-6.
Well, like you said at the top of the show, Mark, I think something that really hit home was the fact that a couple extra days rest probably benefited Fuelex more than Dr. Connor because of all the injuries.
Githens comes inside for a ball to Dave Kupiak. Dave, who played this past season at Camden County College for his Dr. Connor teammate, Dan Barber. A lot of these players on this team, Camden County players, or attended Washington Township High School. That's the majority.
Well, Githin's got some smoke on that ball because you can hear that way up here. He's taking Kupiak all around the world on this one. Oh, nice one.
Takes something off that ball, and it just misses. 2-1 to count to Kupiak, who's hitting .440 on the season.
Last game, Dave had a big home run. And like you said, he's not noted as being a home run hitter.
Yeah, he did. He really did. He extended a 5-3 lead to 6-3. Went 2 for 4 in that game with 2 RBIs. Played for Tony Mitchell at Paul VI High School.
Oh, boy.
And Githens again with smoke, and the count is now full. John Githens, who was a minor league pitcher for 5 years, 4 years with the Cleveland Indians, his final season with the Baltimore Orioles in 1990. Played at Hagerstown. And Kupiak draws the walk.
I took him inside. He had some luck up front at the beginning of the with taking him inside, and Kupiak was just very, very patient and laid off the ball.
Now at the plate is Dave Kerner, and Dave is a guy, as we mentioned, he pitched the first inning on Sunday before the game got called, threw 34 pitches, and is available for some relief duty. Wait, Dave is doing an outstanding job this season. In the regular season, he hit .294 for Dr. Connor, and also has played a flawless shortstop as Githens comes with a sidearm fastball that time. Very, very tough on those right-handers.
He's got a great strength.
And breaking pitch for a strike, 0-2 the count. And Kerner has a very tough regimen. You know, he's going to medical school. He just began his third year, and he's working at a hospital. He's up at 5 o'clock every morning, and of course, with playing baseball, he says, makes it a very long day. Githens again comes inside, just misses, 1-2.
Just a little bit inside.
Dave was a 4-year starter, had an outstanding baseball career at Bucknell University. Played second, short, was a pitcher.
That's one out of play.
Yeah, fights off a very tough fastball by Githens. John Githens told us that he's probably going to be throwing a lot harder in the first few innings. He says, you know, after about 4 innings, I might lose it a little bit, and then I really have to rely on spotting things. He says, but early on in the game, he's going to go with a lot of fastballs. Grounder to Githens. Kerner runs pretty well, but John makes the play, and Kerner's out for the first out with Kupiak advancing to second.
Well, he did a nice job of knocking that ball down in the infield. He took his time, and that's probably because of the seasoned pro in him. Very, very patient out there. Didn't rush the throw. Got right back in there. I don't know if they got a little flesh there coming back at him. Did you see that?
Well, I'll tell you what, up now is a very, very dangerous hitter. Dan Barber, who is the former Old Dominion star, hit .435 in the regular season with 4 homers and 24 RBIs. He didn't play in Game 2 because he was attending a wedding, but in Game 1 he parked one out of here. In that 12-6 game, there were 8 home runs.
There's one.
That ball's to left field, but right there putting it away is John Hughes for out number 2.
Got the ball in quickly out there. Kupiak still sitting on second base.
And that'll bring up the pitcher, Pete Conlon, a .383 hitter during the regular season with 3 homers, 24 RBIs. Had kind of a tough game in Game 2, going 0 for 4, but as we mentioned, I think he saved a minimum of 3 runs with his scoops at first base and his fine defensive play.
Absolutely.
Showing a lot of guts, playing with a very sore hamstring. But as his teammate said, you almost have to wheel Pete out of here.
They're looking back Kupiak over there. Went back to time.
Well, Dave runs very well at second base. See if he may want to test the arm of Dominic Rayo. Getting a very big lead at second, as you can see there, Howard. There's Kupiak.
Coop, they called him in Paul 6.
where he batted second in the order. Now he's hitting leadoff. Ideal at either position as Conlon fouls that off. It's 1-1. Ideal at either position for Kupiak because he has such good bat control. He has very good speed, and he has a good eye as he showed on the walk. There's a nice look at the crowd here, and a pretty nice crowd for the championship game. Two teams.
Very, very well represented out here, both teams.
Two teams going for the Carter Cup, symbolic of the Tri-County League champion. This is the third and deciding game. Great job done by the Tri-County League officials, led by President Rick Ventura. 15 teams this season.
They'll be expanding next year, too.
Yeah, that's right, and there's going to be a team playing right here, a West Deptford team, and the manager of that team is going to be one of the great South Jersey coaches, former coaches, Bill Crane, as they go to second base on the pickoff play. Jenkins doing a nice job getting the ball down, and Darrell Jenkins will probably take most of the throws on the pickoff because all playing second base is Bill Giulio, who is nursing a hamstring injury there. Bill really gutting it out this evening.
He started in the last game over at third base.
Conlon goes to right field, way back, but right there at the fence is Tad Kozaneski making the catch for the final out. So no runs, no hits, and one left on base. We're through one, and it's Fuelex 1. Moving over to the center field, it's Chris Hoffman. And in right field, Terry Tuttle, who was a DH last game. The Dr. Connor catcher is Scott Jergowski, and of course the pitcher is Pete Conlon. As Bill Giulio comes to the plate, Bill, one of the great marvels of this Tri-County League, as he takes that first pitch for a ball. As we mentioned last game, 56 years young and really playing competitively. Has struck out just twice this season, although one of those times occurred in game number 2. But he is playing with a sore hamstring, and he
nice
gets
through, man.
Giulio running to first, and he gets in. He's safe. And look at him, bad hamstring at all. He's limping, but he's in the second base.
That's a gamer there. I'll tell you, 57 years young. That's what you ought to say about that young man. That was a real nice rip back down in there. Stayed with the ball. You know, one of the things that I thought was interesting, some people said, well, when are you going to hang up the cleats, you know? And he says, well, I got my son out there on the same field with me now. It'd be real nice to keep playing until my grandson gets out on the field with me.
That's right. His grandson's 3 years old, and he's going to give it a shot. And Bill Giulio, that was scored, by the way, Howard, a hit and an error. So Bill Giulio is a leadoff runner at second base. And again, this is what you love about this league. Guys like this in it, showing that kind of determination. You could tell he was hurting when he was running.
That's right.
Then he had to make the decision to try to go to second. He's limping in there, but he's a leadoff base runner. And certainly this team would be nowhere. It sure wouldn't be in the finals without Bill Giulio, who came into the game hitting .381, and that'll obviously increase with the hit. And now it's his son, J.R. Giulio, as he takes a ball. Jergowski coming out on a confab, talking to Pete Conlon.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill had more of a lead there than young leg David Kupiak. Did you see that lead out there at second base?
Well, Bill Giulio is a guy that knows a little bit about the game of baseball. He's a former Detroit Tiger farmhand, and he's just done a great job.
Now, since he's hurt and he takes a big lead, do you think they're going to make a play for him back there?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. Because I think he's cautious enough to know where everybody is. Even though has a pretty good lead, as you can see in your picture there, he's looking over his shoulder all the time, looking out of the side of Kupiak. Now Kupiak is shading over to second base, paying a little more attention to him. J.R. Giulio hits a ground ball, and that is foul, though. Nice play that time by Ferraro at third base.
Yeah, he got on that early. And that's good. You're staying with the ball until you hear the call. You go with the play. As it's a live ball. And then they'll call you back.
We mentioned that West Deptford's going to have an entry in the Tri-County League with Bill Crane, the former Kingsway coach, coaching, and Bill said he's going to mainly have it as a team for college players. As we get a great view of Philadelphia, you could see some terrific sights here at this field.
Yeah, that's just pretty. The way this field's laid out is just really nice, really nice.
Anyway, Bill said he's going to get mainly college people because he says a lot of college players come home, don't have a place to play. J.R. Julio, pop up, Dave Kerner. And that was a high one as he puts that away for out number 1.
Yeah, that was up there. Line drive upstairs to the gates of heaven. But what goes up must come down. You're a musical aficionado. Now, what lyric did that come from? What goes up must come down. What group? Come on, come on.
I don't have it.
Come on.
I don't have it. You're going to have to bail me out.
Okay, I'll say A, Pink Floyd.
Joe Caparella off the plate. You've got me. He takes a strike.
Spinning Wheel. Spinning Wheel.
Howard, you
Number 9. Number 9.
You could say anything, and I'd say, okay.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Remember them?
Oh, there you go. Swings and misses. And it's quickly 0-2. David Clayton Thomas, was that the lead
David
singer?
Clayton Thomas, absolutely.
Yeah,
He was the
okay.
lead singer.
I feel like Dick Clark here.
Unbelievable.
Julio, a one-out base runner at second base. Caparella actually playing for Mark Bergstrom, who's not here this evening, as he strikes out on the breaking pitch, and that was that knuckle curve of Pete Conlon's, a very dangerous pitch. Bergstrom, who is the second baseman for this Fuelex team, is actually on vacation and wasn't supposed to be in game 2, but his car broke down on the turnpike.
Oh, is that what happened?
That's what happened.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he gave up a day of his vacation to come back and play in the game, but he broke down?
Well, they broke down the turnpike, so he figured, well, we're not going anywhere now. Let's get a ride back. So he got a ride to the field and played.
That's terrific.
That's Chris Shover up.
See, there's 1,000,001 stories out here, these ball players.
Chris hit a base hit his first time up. Came into the game hitting .385 and played for Camden County College as he takes that pitch for a ball, 2-0, where he was an all-region selection. Pete Conlon does a lot of maintenance on the mound. He's just one of those crafty pitchers. One of the great battlers in this league. Shover goes the other way. That ball looks like it's going to drop foul, and it is. But Shover had a fine season for Dan Barber at Camden County College. All conference, all region, as a freshman. He'll be back next season, certainly be one of the better junior college players in this area.
We have a lot of notoriety out there in the stands tonight. We probably, if we can, time to time, ask if they'd like to be on. Bring them in for maybe an inning.
Shover takes that for a ball, 3-1. By the way, he scored the first run in this game, and it was his 39th run of the season. Sure, bring them all in, Howard. Grounder to Kerner. Scoops it up and makes the long throw to first base, and accurate, we should say, for the third out. So no runs, one hit, the single by Julio, and one left on base. We're going to the bottom of the second inning. Bates playing first base this evening, but played right field in game number 2 and really made some outstanding defensive plays. In fact, I think the difference in that game was the fact that Dr. Connor made all the plays in the outfield, and
Yep, absolutely.
Fuelex struggled out there at times.
Dr. Connor had those timely little blooper hits, all right, that just fell right where you needed them.
Round to the
All
third,
right.
and Caparella can't make the play, so Eddie Bates is on the leadoff error. And that'll bring up the very hot-hitting Vince Ferrara, who hit .419 during the regular season. 2 homers, 9 RBIs, but last game he was 3 for 3 with a homer, 2 singles, 2 runs, and an RBI.
They ruled out an error.
Oh, sure.
That it looked like it hit the edge of the grass, didn't it?
It may have, but it was a
Playable,
play
right.
that should have been made. Now Ferrara playing up a little bit at third base for the bunt, potential bunt, as Ferrara took, or I should say, Caparella.
Caparella, yeah.
Ferrara's batting. I'll get it right. 2-0 now the count to Vince Ferrara. There's a wide panoramic view of the field. Outstanding field, Union Field here in West Deptford. Certainly a hitter's ballpark, as Githens gets the strike on the sidearm fastball. Fence is only 6 feet high. It's not at about 350 to center field, maybe 320 to right and left.
I was talking to some of the people from Deptford a couple days ago, and they were indicating that all that land that you see back there in the darkness, they'll probably move that fence back. They'll put a higher fence up. They'll probably give about 10 to 15 more feet all the way around.
Sure, the pitchers won't complain as Githens walks Ferrara. So Dr. Connor starts at the bottom of the second with runners at first and second. And that'll bring up Scott Jerkowski. Hit .418 during the regular season, 2 homers and 11 RBIs. Has a pretty good eye too, as he walked 13 times. So John Githens a little bit of trouble here in the bottom of the second inning, as Jerkowski squares the bunt and bunts it foul. J.R. Giulio charging. And it's interesting too, because we know that John has had the bad knee and everything, and he's looked pretty good getting off the mound on a couple of plays today. For that bunt that time, and the ball that hit off him, and he got it and threw out the batter. So John Githens looks like he's moving a lot better. Fakes the pickoff move.
Well, you were right. You know, it only takes a couple days, you know, if you're a real active player, to relax and let those muscles get right back in. Here's a laid down bunt.
That's a great bunt, and Githens gets to it pretty well, and Bill Giulio making a nice play at first base for the putout, score at 1-4.
Well, there's that veteran. You know, he had everybody rushing plate. He took his second base position, covered first base.
So with now runners at second and third and 1 down, Terry Tuttle comes to the plate. Terry, former Washington Township standout. Also has been a good pitcher, and that is a strike, and that may have been the hardest pitch that Githens has thrown.
Yeah, that
velocity.
was some kind of smoke coming through there.
I asked John before the game how hard he still throws. He says between 80 and 85. There it is again on the outside corner, and quickly Githens is ahead 0-2.
Well, he needs this one right now, because he, you could see he wasn't real relaxed up there with putting men on in scoring position. So I think he's just going to work right now.
He goes sidearm again that time. Tuttle just lays off it.
Looked like the previous pitch, didn't it?
They appealed. Third base umpire Walt Schaefer said no, he didn't go around, so it's 1-2. But Githens, it's interesting now. When Githens needs an out, he's gone to the sidearm fastball 3 straight times.
Yep.
Over the top that time. Tuttle just got a piece of it out of play. There's a look at the crowd here, and a very nice crowd on what is a little nip in the air this evening.
A little nip in the air, huh? It's just beautiful weather, huh? Beautiful weather. I notice you're got your cuddly clothing on for the fall.
Yeah, I'm in my sports video sweatshirt instead of the T-shirt.
Did you get the sports video jammies on there with the little feet there?
Oh, and he
Oh,
strikes
my.
him out on a high
Whoa.
fastball that time. First strikeout for John Givens as he really reached back with some heat.
Well, it seems like when he gets into a situation, he just buckles down and gets it done. Because there was some heat behind those pitches.
John Givens, in his best year in minor league baseball, was 1988 for Kingston, North Carolina, a single-A affiliate of the Indians. He was 11-6 with a 3.16 ERA as Chris Hoffman takes that first pitch for a ball. And what's interesting, he was saying before the game, his ERA would have been a lot lower, but he pitched one game on 1 day's rest and allowed 10 earned runs.
And that blew the average.
Absolutely. But, I mean, he had such a good year that year. He beat a pitcher by the name of Kent Merker twice. And all Kent's done is pitched a no-hitter for the Atlanta Braves, and he's in that Braves rotation. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's in with some good company.
Yeah, Givens said Merker was 15-3 that season, and 2 of the losses came to him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's Brad Kozaneski on camera at first base.
We'll try to get Dr. K on the other side.
Took something off it, just missed outside. Givens not missing by much as it's now 2-2.
I don't know if you can see down there in the corner, you got Dr. K.
With the camera.
Yep, he's the third base camera.
Steve Kozaneski, the longtime coach at Eastern. That just missed too. On the changeup, Steve this past season was an assistant coach for Dick Eastwick at Haddonfield.
Excellent tutor, excellent coach. Disciplinarian. One of the last of the traditional gentlemen out there. Oh boy,
Out on a high fastball, and the Dr. Connor batter is having trouble laying off that, as Givens showing excellent movement on that fastball. And top of the third inning, it'll be Tad Kozaneski, Dom Rayo, and John Hughes here for Fuelex. And joining us now, special guest, a semi-regular on Sports Video and a regular with the Camden Courier Post, Mike Shute, who's been covering this series. Mike, good to see you.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Doing great, Mike. You've probably been out here more than you thought you would be for this series, right?
Actually, yes. Yeah, with the rain and everything, I came down, and then things got rained out on Sunday. Then yesterday, of course, they didn't play at all. So, yeah, maybe an extra day than I thought, but it's been a good series.
Yeah, it really has been a good series. As our friend Tad Kozaneski up, he takes that inside pitch for a ball.
What do you think of this guy up here, Mike?
Well,
What kind of series is he having?
I have nothing but great things to say. Of course, he's kind of one of the bosses here, you know.
Yeah, he gives you your assignments. You better say some good things about him as he fouls that off. Although that never stopped us talking about Howard. And he is the boss.
Well, I don't know what Bill Conlon did to Tad, but there's 2 he put right over there in the pocketbook. I don't know what's happening over there. I coined him Legs. Legs Kozaneski.
Legs?
I saw some speed out there, variable speed at that, but speed. The last game.
Conlon ahead of Kozaneski, 1-2. Top of the third inning, Fuelex leading 1-0. And he strikes him out on that knuckle curve.
Yeah, Tad was saying that Conlon's knuckle curve is really a tough pitch to hit. Of course, Tad's first time up, he had that sacrifice bunt. He said that was before the lights came on, Mark, and he couldn't even see the pitch, really. He actually said he had his eyes shut when he dropped that bunt. That was a good bunt he dropped down in the first inning.
Excellent sacrifice, you're right. That'll bring up Dominic Rayo,
He's going the wrong way right now, Mark.
No, you're looking at the wrong batter.
You're kidding me.
Rayo's at the plate.
Oh, geez, look at this, the magic. Look at that. Oh, boy.
Takes that pitch for a ball. Dominic's 0 for 1. He flew out to Hoffman in center field.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Mark. I didn't know he was a magician.
This is baseball, Howard.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Where's the nets?
Hey, Mike. Mike, how about telling the viewers, you're writing for the Courier, you do a great job for them, but tell them a little bit about what it's like to do a night game on deadline and then have a delay when there's no lights on.
Well,
that must not be a comforting feeling.
Well, I'm biting my nails as we speak, Mark. Of course, my story has to be written and everything by 11 o'clock, and right now it's almost 9. We're only in the top of the third, so it's going to be cutting it close.
And you're actually going to write the story at the Courier? You're going to go back there?
I don't know. We'll see.
You might have to write it
I
here.
might have to do it here tonight.
Why don't you catch a cab, okay?
Yeah.
Get in the back seat,
The sports video cab?
yeah, you'll have plenty of time to write that article.
Yeah, it's not that a lot of people they see it in the paper the next day and they see the story there, but they don't realize a lot of the anguish that goes in trying to beat these deadlines.
Of course, Mark, we were no strangers to that with the high school soccer championships that we both were at this past fall.
That's right. I thought we saw a lot of each other at Trenton State for those night games, which I always wish, from a newspaper standpoint, Mike, could start about 5 o'clock.
There was really no reason why they couldn't play that early. I mean, the kids do get out of could get out of school and they could play a little earlier. I mean, a 5 o'clock game and a 7 o'clock game or even a 7:30 game would give us a little bit of a break. But all the teams do travel a distance too. They play at that centralized location of Trenton State College, so I guess they did get some travel time.
Ground ball to Kerner. Dave with the great hands and the throw and the scoop. But beating the play is Rayo, and we'll see how they rule this. It's an error on Kerner.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's his second. No, is that his second of the game, Mark? No, the other came earlier on the second baseman.
Yeah, on the overthrow. Dave Kerner has outstanding hands, and even on that play, he bobbled it and quickly got it again.
Yeah.
And was able to make a strong throw to first base. And the defense, Mike, of this Dr. Connor team, even though they made the error that time, Bates on the fine scoop. Conlon last game with all the scoops at first.
And Bates made a great catch in right field in game 2 that really was an important play, considering Fuelex was trying to mount a little comeback there and actually pulled it within a run, and Bates made a great catch for the second out of the inning that I think was a real crucial play, because in that last game a lot of the balls Dr. Connor was hitting were dropping, whereas Fuelex was Dr. Connor was making the plays defensively.
John Hughes at the plate now. He's ahead of the count 2-0. John with an RBI base hit tonight.
Yeah, you're right, Mike, about the that timely play in right field with Bates. I think that kind of like to shut the door. I mean, I remember Mark and I looked at each other on that one.
Interesting. Dominic Rayo down there, the runner at first base, wearing no helmet, Mark.
Yeah.
He took it off. It's sitting behind the
feels it
first
might
base
slow
coach.
him down, I guess. By the way, we talk about Ed Bates. You're probably happy to see a former Highland graduate doing so well.
Actually, Mark, I played Little League ball with him.
Did you really?
He was 11 years old. I was 12 on the Blackwood Little League Cougars.
There you go. Hoffman backing up in center field, but he will have room, and he makes the catch for the second out.
I tell you what, Mark, that was a dynasty, that team, the Blackwood Little League Cougars. 6 years in a row they won the league championship.
Interesting. Well, you're younger than I thought you were, Mike.
Yeah.
That's not right, Howard, having these young people up here.
Well, yeah, that's. Well, it's good to have somebody that still has like half a decent memory left. You know what I mean? I'm speaking for myself. I mean, that's.
I'm glad you made that clarification.
Well, we already set that precedent the last gig, Mark, that I would not speak in behalf of you. I speak in behalf of myself, and I don't blame you. I really don't.
And sometimes even you want to yell at yourself for doing that.
Well, yeah.
John Githens up to the plate. He walked his first time.
Yeah, one of the things that Sports Video is doing up at Maple Shade this year, I don't know if you saw the schedule yet for the fall. We got 4 games up there, soccer games.
Oh, yeah. We did quite a few of them last year. Be looking forward to Maple Shade's a team that is going to be looking at improving this year, with a young coach and a young group of players.
Yep. Although, probably in that league, you would think Riverside comes in pretty strong. They have a lot back. Sam Meyer does a great job there.
Sam had he was starting, 9 freshmen or 8 freshmen last year? So that's a team that's really looking to improve. Of course, the teams that are in this area that would see the game, Washington Township, always a great soccer program.
Absolutely, as Githens takes that pitch for a ball, 2-1.
Yep, not too long from now, Mark, will we be out there on the soccer
On the
fields
pitch.
watching. Yes, I was going to say that, but I figured I'll leave the technicalities out since we're playing baseball and they might get confused.
John
I know
Givens.
Howard would.
Where's the 18 on this field? I don't see it.
John Givens, a 1983 graduate of Sterling High School. Went to Camden County College, and that's when he was drafted by the Indians. As he misses that snap throw that time and caught off the bag, but he'll slide into second as Dominic Rayo.
Actually, that's a courtesy runner in there, Mark. I'm not sure exactly who it is. I know they sent Rayo into the dugout. That's number 11 for Fuelex.
That is
That was a heads-up run there.
Good job, Mike. We're really putting you to work here. So Bergstrom, the runner at second base, it looked a little fast for a catcher moving there. I'm wondering why they didn't make a throw with a catcher running to second, and that's why. 2-2 the count. That ball's outside. Jergalski stops it but can't find it, and Bergstrom will go to third.
Well, it looked like, going back to the play where Bergstrom advanced to second, Mark, looked like Bates made a nice pick to get it out of the dirt, but had some trouble getting it out of his glove to make the throw to second. So I think that's where the lack of a throw came into play.
Count's now full to John Givens, who has 31 RBIs on the season. John's been an offensive and, of course, a pitching force for this team. He was picked in the old, they don't have it anymore, the January draft. He was picked in the 7th round by the Cleveland Indians out of Camden County College, and was either signing with the Indians or attending Georgia Tech, and he opted to go for the Indians. Pop up the other way. That ball's going to drop foul.
Yeah, that's a shame about the Indian organization this year. They had everything going for them, and all of a sudden that damn strike came along. What do you wait 38 years to have a good team, and then all of a sudden you decide to go on strike? Well, that's interesting.
It's been 4 decades since they've tasted postseason. 1954.
Well, guys, how long do you really think this strike's going to go on? I really don't think it's going to go much past Labor Day, to be honest with you.
Well,
I think the owners have too much money invested in the postseason, in the playoffs. They have too much with all the television contracts. There's too much money that's going to come in from that, and I think they're going to try and get this settled before that.
as he calls him out on a called third strike. So no runs that inning. On no hits, there was 1 error and 1 left on base. And welcome back. Let's look at the defensive alignment for Fuelex. At first base right there is J.R. Giulio. His father, Bill, is the second baseman. The shortstop's Darrell Jenkins. And at third base is Joe Caparella. In left field, it's John Hughes. Chris Shover's the sure-handed center fielder. And in right field, Tad Kozaneski. Behind the plate is Dominic Rayo. And of course, pitching is John Givens as he gets ahead of Dave Kupiec, the leadoff batter, who's leading off here this inning. It'll be Kupiec, Dave Kerner, and Dan Barber here in the bottom of the third inning. Kupiec hits a shot, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Getting to it quickly is Shover, as Kupiec thought about trying to get the second, but wisely went back to first.
Mark, first hit of the game for Dr. Connor here in the third inning.
Absolutely.
Githens was mowing him down.
Yep, Johnny had walked 2 and a runner had gotten on by an error, but as you mentioned, the first hit and sharply hit also.
You notice that the grass really held it. I thought the ball like it was going to go through the gap, like really slowed up out there in the right center field gap.
Maybe the field's still feeling the effects of a couple days of torrential downpours.
I think that has a lot to do with it. But the other night you could see it dying in the infield. It's real thick. It's a nice thick turf, and it really slows for an infielder to come up and make a play.
As Dave Kerner takes that first pitch for a ball. Again, whenever Githens gets in trouble, Mike, he likes to go with that sidearm fastball.
And he brings it inside. He's not afraid to come inside on any of the hitters. I was talking to Rick Ventura, the league commissioner. He said, he's not afraid to bring it inside. And, he's hit his share of batters this year as well with that pitch.
Yeah, and Pete Conlon's not afraid either. It's just that Githens brings it a little harder.
Yeah. About 85, right?
Well, John said he throws between 80 and 85, and you might say, well, that's not that much. But as John said before the game, for this league, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty good. These guys aren't used to seeing that all the time. Grounder, Caparella making a nice stab at third, and wild throw the first, though, is Kerner safe. It'll be interesting to see how they score that because he made a nice job and they're giving him an error. Maybe on the throw, Mike, more so than the...
I think it was on the throw because
yeah, it did pull first baseman Jared Julio off the bag. Mark, a tough play out there, sharply hit. Nice job, though, to make the stab. Couldn't quite get it to stick in that glove. And as you said, the throw a little bit offline.
So again, for the second straight inning, Dr. Connor gets its first two batters on, and that'll bring up the powerful Dan Barber.
When's the last time you saw that many errors on a board?
I've been to a Phillies game lately, Howard.
Well,
Barber hits a shot to Jenkins at short. Everybody gets back for the first out. And I'll tell you what, if you're Githens, you have to breathe a sigh of relief because Dan Barber absolutely can be an intimidating force at the plate.
well, he's a big guy, too.
He's not the kind of guy you want up there if you're the opposing team with runners aboard. Neither is this guy.
Yeah, that'll bring up Pete Conlon.
Conlon had been absolutely red hot, Mark, prior to this series. I mean, they played down in the Bridgeton tournament. He was hitting the ball over the field.
Right, we had noted, Mike, he was like in the Bridgeton tournament, which you know is top competition. He was 5 for 6 in that tournament. Been a little bit of a slump, was 0 for 4 last game. Tonight he's 0 for 1. He flew out to Chauver in center field. And there's a strike two, and Githens gets ahead 0-2.
He's looking at Sasso and going, okay. He stepped all the way across the box on that one.
Pete kind of wondering where that call is when he's out there, I think.
You know, Mike, John told us that he might be losing something off his fastball by after the fourth inning as he gets
pitch.
them there on the off-speed pitch.
That
for
was
the second
nasty.
out.
I was going to say, didn't need the fastball that time, Mark. Really a great change of pace there. Had Conlon way out in front of it.
That was nasty. That was a nasty pitch.
And for the second time, Mark, you mentioned first two runners aboard. For the second time, Githen's been able to come up big both times.
Yeah, got his fourth strikeout, or make that his third strikeout of the evening.
You definitely can't keep doing that though, Mark. You know, it's going to come back and haunt you eventually.
Yep.
You keep letting runners get aboard in the early part of an inning.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. That was a close pickoff play at second. As we mentioned, with Julio with the hamstring injury, it looks like Jenkins will take all the throws there.
Yeah, he looked very acrobatic there.
Ed Bates fouls it off.
He's checking his shoes, cleaning them out. Maybe the turf out there still has a little mud buildup.
Little residue.
Bates really has always been a real good hitter, Mark. I mean, even like I was saying before, I wasn't joking. I did play with the kid when he was 11 years old. I was 12, and he just really had just a natural swing, natural nice left-hand swing.
That time he fouled off a tough pitch, but it's 0-2 now. Githens ahead.
What a beautiful evening, huh, guys? Huh?
Great night for baseball.
I'd like the weather to stay like this for about 2 more months. That would be nice.
How about 3 years? Bates played at Highland for longtime coach Tom Donahue, who stepped down prior to this past season. Tom had been there more than 20 years. Githens takes something off it. That'll drop in for a base hit.
They're waving him in.
Kupiak with the good speed will come in, and that'll tie the score at 1-1 on the RBI single by Ed Bates.
I'll tell you what else helped. Aside from Kupiak's good speed, that ball just died out there again. The grass really held it up, Mark.
Mike,
didn't give the right fielder a chance to really come up with the throw. Of course, that being our very own Tad Kazaneski.
You mentioned that, and you're right. The balls are absolutely dying, and I'm wondering if it's going to affect how the outfielders play here, because even charging a ball, you're not going to have much of a play on a hit like that.
Yeah, obviously they can't play too shallow with the field not being real deep. It is 330 down the line, it's 350 to straightaway center, but they're giving them a lot of room out there. They're playing pretty deep.
I was talking to Bill Conlon about this the other night. As Vince Ferrara fouls off the first pitch, he doesn't believe that's 330 down the lines, and I'll be honest with you, either do I.
Looks pretty close.
Maybe after the game we'll get the
Tape measure.
sports
video tape
Yeah,
measure.
yeah.
The tail of the tape.
That's right.
We'll just get it out of the back of the car.
You know, lost in all that was a nice piece of hitting by Ed Bates that time against a very tough pitcher with 2 outs. Score all tied at 1 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning in the Tri-County Championship. Mark Narducci, Howard Clark, and our guest Mike Shute of the Courier Post and also of Sports Video. Runner at 3rd is Dave Kerner. At 1st is Ed Bates.
Going.
And he's called out on strikes. But Dr. Connor has tied things up here in the 3rd inning as they get 1 run. Or Julio here in a 1-1 tie. Pete Conlon and John Giddens both pitching very well through the first 3 innings.
Yeah, it seems as though once they get in trouble, they dig deep down, you know, and they get the job done tonight. So the pitching's coming through for both squads.
There's a high fastball that both teams have had a lot of trouble laying off that high fastball out of the strike zone.
And they like the stuff outside, too. Did you notice that, Mike?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Mike's still with us.
I was just looking at some notes.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
we're
yeah,
working
yeah.
2 jobs here, Howard. Come on. Give me a break.
Hey, if I can talk, chew gum, work a camera, and walk the audio
You're
one
used
time,
to it, though.
you can
You're used to being busy.
put the scratch marks on that pad there.
2-1 to count to Jenkins. Pop up, Kupiec. Called off though, and that
Oh,
ball
my.
dropped for a base hit. And now Jenkins thinks of going to second, but gets back to first base. And Mike, that looked like a very, very catchable ball that time. But Terry Tuttle got a late jump, and I guess he thought the way we did that Kupiec was going to get it.
Well, one thing that these players have been saying is that this concrete, it's a real light colored concrete because it's new. And they're having a tough time picking the ball up as it goes up into the air. And I think that might have had some trouble. But look where Tuttle's been playing. He's in the right center field gap. And I don't think he would have had that even if he seen it. I don't even know, of course we can't get in his head and know if he saw it or not, Mark. But, I mean, I don't think he would have got to that anyway. He's playing way back there.
So that'll bring up Bill Julio, who singled. He's showing bunt, and he misses. Bill Julio singled, went to second on an error, but was stranded in the 2nd inning.
I was talking to Bill before the game. He's got a lot of interesting stories. I was talking to him for about 5 minutes during that little delay with the lights, and he's got that American flag on the back of his helmet. He said that's from when he played in Russia for like World Championships, and he's got some great stories about that. He was telling me.
Bill Julio with a great bunt. The only play will be the first, and for the 2nd time this evening, Fuelex successfully lays down the sacrifice bunt.
Well, his
I'll tell you
hamstring's still bothering him. You could see him limping around here, but that was a hardy move to get down the base. He moved the base runner over. Did what he had to do.
I'll tell you what Bill told me, Howard, real fast. They were playing in Russia, and they played the Russian national anthem. This is like back in the 80s when it was a little bit of friction between the United States and Russia. And they played the Russian national anthem. He did not leave the dugout. He sat in the dugout, in a show of patriotism. And then when the American national anthem came on, he came out, stood on home plate, and sang the national anthem.
A true patriot. As his son, J.R. Julio, takes the first pitch for a ball. So runner at second is Darryl Jenkins, 1 down. Score tied at 1 apiece in this Tri-County Championship final.
Bill also said that in his many years of playing baseball, he is 56, that he's never sat through a half-hour late delay and then heard the national anthem played in the bottom half of the 1st inning.
Yeah, that was a little different twist.
A different taste.
Yeah.
Different taste.
Said he never saw that. He's seen a lot of things, he told me, but he never saw that.
You want to know another stat on Bill Julio? He swung and missed before he laid down the sacrifice. He has now swung and missed at a pitch 5 times all year.
And the last time you said that about him striking out,
Right.
you said he only struck out once this year,
Yeah,
and
struck
then he
out.
come out and strike. Oh, I'll tell you.
Well, you know what?
Unbelievable.
He is at far less than 100%. He played in an over 30 league on Sunday, went like 3 for 4, was running the bases like crazy, but pulled his hamstring. J.R. Julio lays off that pitch. It's now 2-2.
Bill was also telling me he was on vacation one time at Cozumel, and he saw some lights. He brought his cleats and his glove with him. He ended up getting into a game in Cozumel, and his wife was none too pleased about it.
Ground ball to Kerner. Kerner looking to go to third, and he gets the lead runner there on an outstanding play by the heady Dave Kerner.
Real good thinking. He saw the play in front of him, Mark. I mean, that's the kind of thing a shortstop has the opportunity to do. You can see the play develop in front of you. Made the nice throw. Of course, plenty of time to get the tag and the out.
I'm really impressed with Kerner's game. Sure-handed. Really takes charge defensively. And now Joe Caparella steps to the plate. He was a strikeout victim his first time. Pete Conlon has struck out 3 batters this evening. And this is just true grit on the mound by both pitchers, Pete Conlon and John Giddens. Both guys shaking off a little stiffness in the arm.
Both of them got bad legs.
Yeah, Pete's had the hamstring injury. He's taped up pretty heavily before the games.
Now, what's that? Is that lard back there?
It's the biggest rosin bag I've seen.
Yeah, there's a rosin bag out there. It looks like a piece of tape, too. Came off of somebody's glove or shoe.
J.R. Julio going on the pitch. He's foul off.
All these guys are running without the helmet. Julio there just has his hat.
Now, they got a no helmet rule like in hockey.
They're throwbacks. Right, Mark?
That's right. JR and Bill still, we mentioned this the other night, they still wear the helmets that you see the major leaguers
Yeah,
without
the ear flap.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Each sport has its own little gig going for them.
Again, J.R. Julio going, and he'll get in easily with the stolen base.
Great jump by Julio.
But Conlon's still ahead of Caparella 1-2, and obviously, Mike, he wants to get this batter out because he doesn't want to start facing the top of the order and the always dangerous Chris Schober.
Yeah, exactly.
And that always dangerous Tad Legs Kozaneski.
So, good job to get in scoring position here. You know, he's going to try and score and a hit.
Inside for a ball, 2-2. And if you're Dragowski, you have to tell your pitcher, just throw strikes. This guy's a number 9 batter. You got him pretty convincingly, striking him out the first time.
Oh, yeah, he blew him away with high heat last time, if I'm not mistaken.
And he strikes him out again. So no runs that inning on 1 hit. The blue base hit by Jenkins and 1 left on base. We're going to the bottom of the 4th inning.
Mark, I can't believe it. Looks like a sports video reunion coming in here. All the guys,
Yeah.
announcers, analysts, color analysts.
Everybody's here to support
Unbelievable.
Tad K, I guess.
Unbelievable.
That's right.
Some of us are working though.
Ground ball. Caparella's going to have a tough play at third base, but makes it with a fine throw over the first for the first out.
Did you
Had
see
plenty
how?
of time to get him.
Yeah. Did you see how he placed that ball that time? The last time he got an error on a throwing error, and this time he took his time and made sure he threw a little line over there. Made sure that he wasn't going to pull the first baseman off there. So he learned from his last mistake.
So that'll bring up Terry Tuttle. 0 for 1 as he struck out against Giddens. For Fuelex, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 errors. For Dr. Connor, 1 run, 2 hits, and 2 errors. Grounder to J.R. Julio, gets his body in front of it, and again, Giddens makes the put out at first. And Howard, we mentioned this before, but John Giddens is running a lot better this evening than we saw him a couple nights ago.
Yeah, he was struggling the other night.
Yeah.
He was playing right field. There was a couple balls out there that maybe a healthy guy might have been able to get to. Githens with some leg trouble, I guess it was, couldn't make a couple plays, and balls just dunked in there for base hits. That really helped Dr. Connor pull that 8-7 win out.
And Githens looks surprisingly fresh getting off the mound. As we mentioned, suffering from the gout, which is certainly a very, very painful injury. Has to get the knee drained periodically.
I'll tell you, these guys down here had great reflexes because if that cleared that fence, they were all set to catch that ball. Look at that! Look at that head, huh? Folks, you remember seeing that head, huh? That's the Kevin Schultz. That's a head color commentator and analyst. There goes one.
That's out of play, 0-2.
For Sports Video's football sports team. Oh, we got football officials here too. We're just grooming ourselves. We're learning new commentary. Take care of the men in striped shirts this year.
0-2 to count to Hoffman. Again, he fights off a very, very tough inside fastball to stay alive.
Well, I hope we have a new box of balls down there because we're losing them left and right now.
Well, you know what? It's funny because they asked Pete Conlon, the player manager of Dr. Connor, how many they had. They only brought 3 with them.
3?
Yeah.
Well, I saw 3 down here by the trophy, so there's 6.
There's a box up here, too, by the commissioner.
Sidearm fastball, outside, 1-2.
I got a box in the car, too, so if they really run out. We'll get Mike out here to do the camera, and I'll run out in the trunk and get a box of balls.
Breaking pitch just missed, 2-2.
Githens wanted that when you saw him hop off the mound there.
Yeah, you know, John had mentioned to us that he thinks after 4 innings he might lose some velocity. We haven't seen any evidence of that in the 4th, at least, of him slowing down, as that just missed inside. Githens again thought he had it.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with that last call. He thought he caught the inside corner on that one.
John played at some remote outposts, spent 2 years in Waterloo, Iowa, playing for the Waterloo Indians, and that's high for ball 4. So Chris Hoffman is a 2-out base runner.
He really earned that walk, too, Mark. Fouled off a couple tough pitches, and then it took a couple real close pitches. Get aboard.
So up comes Dave Kupiak, who's been an active offensive performer this evening. He's officially 1 for 1 with a base hit and a walk, and he has scored the Dr. Connor run on the RBI base hit by Ed Bates. There's a strike.
Now he'll come back and he'll start throwing some smoke now. You watch. It happens all the time.
John Githens, 29 years old, and just as you said that, Howard, he threw him an off-speed pitch, and the ball came close to coming up here.
See these big baseball players here screaming for their lives, huh?
Good pitch by Githens there, Mark. He really,
Now,
really
one of them
had
brought a
Kupiak
glove.
ahead of it. Kupiak, nice job really to get the bat of the ball. I think he was way out in front of it.
Yeah. Kupiak choking up a little bit with the count 0-2 now. Runner going at second is Hoffman, and he's going to get in with the stolen base. So now Chris Hoffman is in scoring position. And again, that time he got an outstanding jump, and there wasn't very much that Rayo could do on that.
Picked a good pitch to go on as Githens threw a breaking ball. Mark ahead in the count.
So now the count 1-2. Chris Hoffman at second base with 2 down. Githens shaking off a couple of signs. You would think the only sign they'd be flashing is the fastball here. And there it is. Just missed again. Githens is not missing by very much, Mike.
He's around the plate. No question about that.
I think that was the height because he was across the plate. I think it might have been a little too high.
Just missing. Gene Sass doing a nice job behind the plate. Inside and full count now to Dave Kupiak.
The Rayo's a real solid catcher back there. You just see him almost nonchalantly the way he catches the ball back there, but it's just so easy for him. He's a real good defensive catcher. I got to see him a few times with Gloucester County this past spring as I covered a few games of theirs, and he's just a real solid defensive catcher.
Yeah, how about the year Gloucester County had? 40-10 this season, finished 4th in the country after winning consecutive national championships the previous 2 years.
That's what I was going to say about the past 3 years they've had. That's just been a heck of a program Coach Barry Davis at Gloucester County College has been running.
Look what's happening with the basketball team. We covered them last year in junior college play down in Salem, and they went all the way to the Nationals.
They won the title, and Steve Solomon was the only undefeated basketball coach in the country on any level.
Is that right?
There was a breaking pitch that just missed that time. Well, may not have been a breaking pitch, might have been a changeup, but either way, Kupiec is on base for the 3rd time this evening.
2 full counts, last 2 batters, Mark, and both have worked walks.
Yeah, both were down, I think, 0-2, weren't they, Mike? And
here comes the dangerous part of the township orders. You have Kerner, then Barber, and Conlon.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Howard.
I got an idea.
Yes.
When we start doing golf tournaments, you're definitely going to be my #1 guy.
Okay. You must have read my articles on the high school tournaments that I covered. That must be
my.
it.
that one's popped up to left field, but calling for it is John Hughes, and he puts it away for the 3rd out. Mike, it's been great having you here. We'll see you a lot
thanks,
during
Mike.
the soccer, and we'll see you on Sports Video.
I'm glad to be here with you guys. Of course, Sports Video, my favorite place to watch a game. And glad everybody's enjoying this one here on the various cable companies. And glad I could be with you guys. Mark, thanks for the time. And I'll definitely be seeing you around the soccer fields and definitely be checking out the...
It'll be Sports Video reunion night, Howard, because we have another one of our announcers who's here watching the game. We asked him to come on, is Ed Bankin.
Welcome, Ed.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always a pleasure, without a doubt, to work with both of you. The guru of sports video, Howard Clark, right here directly in front of me, and the guru of South Jersey sports, without question, Mark Narducci, the best in the business. And gentlemen, we have, I think as we expected, a real good ball game here between 2 very talented teams.
Yep.
Absolutely. As Chris Shover's at the plate, the count's 1-1, and we had mentioned Ed. Chris had just had an outstanding season for Camden County College this year. As a freshman, he'll be back. All-region selection. There's a ground ball to first. Ned Bates puts it away for the 1st out.
You mentioned Chris playing for Camden County. Of course, he must be weird. He's got his coach over on the other side of the dugout in the form of Dan Barber, but he's done a good job, and those Cougars are a team that's definitely going to be one to be reckoned with.
Yeah, we were teasing that if Shover does really well, Barber's going to make him run some extra laps on the first day of full practice.
Speaking of extra laps, this is the at-bat I've been waiting for since I jumped into this seat.
Boy, what a timely at-bat here. Go ahead, Ed. Let him have it.
Let us watch the lanky yet dangerous Tad Kazaneski stepping into the batter's box.
You know, Tad hitting .429 on the season. He's officially 0 for 1 tonight with a sacrifice as he takes that for a strike.
I know, his last at-bat, he was really not happy with it, but I'm sure he reflected upon when he got back into that dugout.
Well, of course, Conlon struck him out on that very difficult knuckle curve that he throws. And there it is.
There it is.
I'm wondering if maybe we can get maybe for the next time the Tri-County Championship is on, maybe we can get a wireless hooked up to Tad while he's batting. I mean, you have to get the beeper ready.
That would be interesting, yeah. We haven't tried that yet.
By the way, Ed Bankin does a great job as sports director at Jones Intercable, Channel 13. We're glad to have this game on there.
Yeah, as far as our viewers here in Jones, we have 2 local teams really here. Dr. Connor, of course, made up largely of Washington Township residents, and the Fuelex squad plays their home games over at Edgewood High School. And again, Tad is one of our announcers as well.
I think we all just work for everybody as, again, Conlon gets Tad for the 2nd time.
Not a happy camper tonight.
In all fairness to Tad, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't come within 1,000 feet of hitting that knuckle curve. I mean, this is a tough pitcher to go against, and you know, that's why you've got a 1-1 game right now. We've got 2 excellent pitchers on the mound, and now we'll see what Dom Rayo can do.
5th strikeout for Pete Conlon this evening. And, of course, Washington Township also has some pretty good arms in reserve. Really, if Fuelex is going to win this, it's probably going to be Githens all
That's
the way.
going to drop.
As Rayo gets the blue base hit. So he's a 2-out base runner.
Well, that was a timely hit.
And we mentioned, Ed, that if Dr. Connor has the lead late in the game, it could be lights out because the dangerous Scott Young, the former AAA pitcher in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, waiting in that bullpen and has not given up an earned run in this league in the last 2 years. That's a pretty good streak.
And for a lot of people who maybe haven't played on the even on the high school levels, to understand the incredible accomplishment just to make it all the way up to AAA in the minor leagues is just already beating incredible odds. So, as you mentioned right now, it could be lights out if Fuelex falls behind.
John Hughes now. John has the RBI for Fuelex. Got an RBI single in the first. Also stole a base. He's 1 for 2 in the evening. Also flew out to Hoffman pretty deep in center field. John's had a couple good at-bats. He had been slumping a little bit after getting off to just a torrid start this season. John entered the game with a .333 average, 7 home runs. He now has 35 RBIs. And we again have the courtesy runner, Mike Bergstrom, at first base as he gets back.
Always fun when you go around the summer league play. You see in the Tri-County and the American Legion a lot of very familiar names, a lot of high school stars now still continuing to play ball in South Jersey.
Bergstrom. Yeah, we've documented a lot of the high school people. A lot of these guys, not a lot of them, they're all playing for the love of the game.
Do you hear that, players, owners out there watching?
Yep. Bergstrom going. He got a great jump, and he makes it easily.
Yeah, Mark and I were talking the other night, the last broadcast, I guess it was the second game between Fuelex and Dr. Connor, about the expansion of the activity here in South Jersey. There's more leagues coming up, more teams from a lot of different age groups. So the activity's alive and well here in South Jersey.
Hughes crushes that to left field, but Danny Barber puts it away for the third out. Dan Barber, an outstanding power hitter. He put one out of here in game 1, Ed. I think they're still looking for the ball.
He can do it all. He did it all at Washington Township. Of course, his brother Gary with another solid season for Township.
In fact, his brother Gary is going to be attending Camden County College, where his coach will be Dan. And Dan says, "Hey, you know, he won't have me to get on him after games pretty soon because I'm getting married. I'm moving out of the house." and he's getting married the day after Thanksgiving.
Good strategy right there. Well-placed marriage.
1-1 to count to Dan. Dan played at Old Dominion with the Phillies' former #1 draft choice, Wayne Gomes, who, as he gets out in front of that off-speed pitch by Givens, Wayne Gomes been sort of a disappointment so far in his 1+ years in the Phillies organization, but he was a relief pitcher there when Dan was playing at Old Dominion.
Oh, my.
That almost looked like a knuckleball.
Yeah,
or
it did.
something.
It did. It looked like something.
And it was a knuckleball or something, as Howard mentioned, right up around the eyeballs, and it was almost a self-defense.
What was that,
thing.
gentlemen? We'll ask the spectators what kind of... Say it was a something pitch, yes.
Givens said he throws a changeup that's kind of weird, and he grips it a little differently, and he
Oh, my.
just missed on that fastball in the outside corner, so it's 2-2 to count to Dan Barber.
That did look like a knuckleball, though. It's off speed, though.
Bottom of the 5th inning, count's now full. And you know, Givens has done this frequently this evening. He's gotten ahead of batters, and then he's gotten in either deep counts or actually walked the batter. He's walked 4 this evening.
Kind of appropriate, gentlemen, on a championship night here. You've got kind of a cool night here. Feels more like a September, early October than it would be in August. Good night for a championship game.
And Barber will crush that in the gap. Hits the fence. He's going for extra bases. The throw from Shover coming in, and he's in there.
Oh, my.
Oh, Chris Shover came oh so close to throwing out his coach at Camden County College at second base. And Dan Barber, who usually won't be confused with Ricky Henderson on the base pass, did a pretty nice job there.
Well, you had a situation there where you might have seen some extra laps if Dan Barber had been called out, but that was just a great slide. The throw beat Dan Barber there, but he managed to get his hand in there, and that pitch was just a mistake by Givens. He got that up and in a little bit, and you do not make a mistake like that to Dan Barber.
You're almost fortunate, Ed, that the ball stayed in the ballpark with the kind of power Dan has.
Well, that's what's amazing me tonight. We've had some balls hit the fence, but in general, we haven't seen anything that looked close to going out of here tonight, whereas the last couple games, I mean, they've been parking these babies.
Yeah, Pete Conlon fouled off the first pitch, and Pete looking to get out of an 0 for 6 collar over the last 2 games. 0 for 2 this evening. Hits at the center field, Shover charging, and he makes the putout for the first out.
Well, when things aren't going away, you're slumping. Things like that happen. By that I mean Conlon hit a pitch and hit it pretty well, but you know if he hits it somewhere towards the gap, it might drop in for a single. Instead, he put it right out to center field.
Here's a look at the score. 1-1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning at Union Field, which will be the home of the West Deptford Eagles next season. They actually played on the field behind us before that. And Ed Bates, who has the RBI base hit, is at the plate. He takes that first pitch for a ball.
I'm sure you gentlemen have mentioned, right, this is just an absolutely gorgeous complex. We were covering Monroe Township on the field right behind us. That field behind us is in great shape as well. This is just a fantastic place to play ball.
Ed, what I was saying was, as Bates swings through that one, 1-1 to count, what I was saying before was the only complex that's either for high school or Legion that I've seen that's better is Boyertown's. I mean, that thing looks like a minor league complex there. It seats about 7,000. Bates pops it up. Shover, though, gets a beat on the ball as he's going back, and he makes a difficult catch near the fence. Barber tagging up, and he'll get to third base, but Chris Shover stayed with a ball that originally looked like it was just going to be a routine pop-up.
And that's a tough play, especially when you're looking up into the lights and the ball is carrying like it is. Howard mentioned, too, that the ball really hadn't been carrying for much of the night, and that's been the case. And that was an exception right there. The ball just kind of took off a little bit, but a good play by the center fielder.
So that'll bring up Vince Ferrara, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. Now with 2 down, John Githens will try to bear down. Ground ball, Githens gets it, has plenty of time, makes the throw for the third out. So no runs on 1 hit and 1 left on base. The pitcher's duel continues. We're through 5.
From sometime between October and June, it was just snow.
John Githens will lead things off here in the top of the 6th. It's Githens, Darrell Jenkins, and Bill Giulio here for Fuelex. All knotted up at 1 with Dr. Connor in a great pitching duel and an outstanding championship game here in the Tri-County League.
Tight game, 1-1. What do you think? Whoever makes the least amount of mistakes from here on in? That's pretty obvious.
Get to this point, one key mistake is going to be the ball game. I think the way these two teams are pitching and have really settled down the fielding department, I really think it's going to take a tremendous effort by one team to just come up with a clutch hit.
Ground ball to Kerner, has to go deep in the hole, but he has the arm and he throws out Githens. Dave Kerner continues to be impressive at short.
Takes his time out there, keeps the ball in front of him, watches it into the glove, and then makes real nice throws to first base. Doesn't rush it, nothing fancy, just gets the job done.
You know, he was a former high school quarterback, and he has great hands. The way he brings the ball in is almost like the way a quarterback gets it from the center, but the way he guides that ball in his hands is really impressive.
But without the hiney in the way, right?
Well,
Can I say that on TV?
I think that's arable.
Oh,
I
Mark's
thought
giving me a look now. It's like, uh-oh.
I thought that was understood, Howard.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy. The man who I always say never met a thesaurus he didn't like, and he's using a word like hiney. Oh, gee.
We could look up Heine in the thesaurus and probably find a few more words we could use.
Oh, sure.
I think we'll
I'll
pass.
do that tonight. I'll study. I'll research.
Darrell Jenkins at the plate. 1-1 the count. Pete Conlon again showing his dissatisfaction over that. Thought he had a strike that time.
Not a happy camper.
Pete a little demonstrative on the mound. Not afraid to show his opinions. Mark Narducci here with Howard Clark and our guest Ed Bankin of Sports Video and also Jones Intercable Channel 13. And Ed, I know you're proud of the things they're doing at Channel 13 with correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 13 is the only station that does a half-hour nightly newscast.
As far as we know, as of now, that is the case, at least in South Jersey.
Long chase there. Oh, Eddie Bates makes the catch, but they're saying it was foul. Oh, what a grab by Ed Bates.
There's going to be a discussion on this one.
I'll tell you what, that's such a good grab, they deserve to give him the out.
Well, Joe Quinn, I think, is saying it was out of bounds or out of play. And
Well, he caught it in the dugout, right? Well, it depends on where the... is the ball playable right there?
There are some situations, you can almost call it the Brooklawn rule in South Jersey, where the rules are very up and down as far as whether the ball's out of play or not.
now they are saying he's out, and there's Joe Orpoli, who is not very happy about everything, the manager of this Fuelex team. He says, wait a minute, you guys said it was a foul ball at first. But he conferred with Gene Sassy there, the home plate umpire, and they called him out.
We're hoping, obviously, it's the correct call. That's a situation right there where even though, they took some time, it's better to see the umpire stop, discuss it, and make sure that indeed they get the correct call. And if that is the correct call, you get the feeling it was because the umpires took the time, they stopped, they talked it over with each other. Championship game like this, you want to make sure everything goes right, even if it takes a little extra time.
Well, in the beginning of the game, you get a big council, a war council sitting around here at home plate, and they discuss all the parameters of the game, and obviously that had to be discussed. So obviously the ball's in play when it's in the dugout.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ed Bates, as Bill Giulio lines that, and he's going to have some room to run, bad hamstring at all. He'll make it to second base as Bill Giulio slides in there with a 2-out double.
You got to hand it to that young man. Look, I don't know if he can get up because he's a hurting camper before that hit to begin with.
Well, you gentlemen talk about playing for the love of the game, and this is a perfect example right here of Giulio just practically going on one leg and puts that ball in the corner with a right fielder out there who's got a very strong arm, still stretches it out into the double. And again, this is what makes this kind of baseball in South Jersey in the summer so much fun to watch. These guys are out here for the love of the game. They're not out there thinking about, scouts and scholarships or anything like that, about professional money. They're out there, they're enjoying themselves, they're playing good competitive baseball, and they're all playing hard.
You know what I saw, though, when Bill hit that thing? As deep as he did, as soon as he came across around that plate at first base, you could see in his head, oh, my God, I got to go to second.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I got to go to second.
Well, Bill Giulio is quietly now 2 for 2 this evening, and just an inspirational player. Can you imagine at 56, Howard, being able to do that?
No, I can't. But got to hand it to him because that's just tremendous.
I can't imagine doing that at 26.
People don't have heroes. They want to look up at heroes and everything. There you are, kids. If you want a hero, there's one right out there playing a game of baseball.
Yeah, he's also a very successful person in the supermarket industry. He's actually hired frequently as a paid expert in court cases.
What, for supermarkets?
Yeah, all about the industry. As the wild pitch, Bill Giulio goes to third. Of course, he's not thinking about supermarket shelves right now. He's thinking of scoring that lead run.
He's also thinking about his hamstring, unfortunately. The poor guy, as hard as he's playing, he's got to stretch the single to the double, as Howard mentioned. Then up, pass ball, time to go to third.
Well, here's another newspaper article in the making, gentlemen. You're looking at it right now. The guy's hobbling around, and if he crosses that plate, you never know what that might do to this game tonight. You might have another story there. And that's a classic story there.
And his son's at the plate, so that would even add some intrigue to things. But it's 2-2 the count now with 2 outs. Pete Conlon just continues to battle on the mound. 5 strikeouts on the evening. J.R. Giulio standing way away from the plate. That's inside, counts full.
Of course, in this situation, when you're Pete Conlon, a pitcher who's worked this long and has thrown a lot of pitches in this situation, the legs start to get a little tired. And when they talk about pitchers battling, it really means getting just the right location, because maybe you don't have some of your best stuff by the 6th inning. So it really is, as far as location, important late in the innings.
And that's ball 4, and that is not a bad move, because right now the number 9 hitter, Joe Caparella's up, and on both occasions Pete Conlon has been dominant against Caparella, striking him out twice.
Well, you got a tribal meeting happening out here right now.
Well, some teams in this situation might want to try to get the guy at first in a rundown on purpose and try to have the other guy from third score home. But since Bill Giulio has a hamstring injury, I don't think we'll be seeing that play.
They might be talking about that too, as far as if the pitch goes and the runner from first takes off, they might want to try and throw down to second if they want.
And Scott Young, we were talking to all the batters, looked very, very unhittable that night. Here's a guy who was, again, during the regular season, Scott Young didn't pitch a whole lot, although, he came in out of relief. He was 1-1 with 3 saves in the regular season, but he's already had 4 saves during the playoffs, and he's really been an imposing figure. We saw that he was a Double-A All-Star in the Cardinals organization. He made it as far as Louisville, Triple-A Louisville, and
of course, hope he can scratch one away in the 7th. Then he's in a situation to close out the bottom of the inning.
Okay, a little defensive change, too. Ed Bates goes out to right field, and I believe it'll be Conlon. Yeah, Pete Conlon will go to first base. And when Dr. Connor beat them in the playoffs, it was the first loss in postseason for Fuelex. So it'll be Joe Caparella, who must be thinking, gee, what am I getting myself into? He's been a reserve this season. He faces Conlon twice and strikes out, and now he's the first guy to face Scott Young. With runners at the corners, J.R. Giulio at first, Bill Giulio at third. J.R. getting a decent lead at first base over there. There's a strike for strike 2.
Well, if the junior Giulio is over at first, he might not be thinking about running for the other reason. If his father's not going to be taking off from third, why risk getting thrown out when you got a chance to knock the go-ahead run in from third?
Bill Giulio now faking to go down the line and run, and J.R. Giulio going. That's hit to Bates.
Oh my! Oh my!
1 run will score.
Oh my!
J.R. Giulio will score. Caparella going toward third base, and he'll get there with a stand-up triple. And who would have
Unbelievable.
thought?
Unbelievable.
The number 9 hitter in the lineup, who struggled his first time up, gets a 2-run triple against one of the premier pitchers in the league. Fuelex now leads 3-1, and look at them congratulating Bill Giulio.
They're a bunch of happy campers right now. Well, there's that hit we were talking about, Ed.
The hit, and although it isn't officially scored an error, Howard, you and I touched on it. It was one costly mental mistake, one misplayed ball right there, and suddenly this could be the championship.
It's interesting, as Chris Shover comes to the plate now, we were talking about, takes that pitch for ball, how great Bates has been defensively, and he just, again, Howard, we've seen it the last couple nights, the right fielders in this game have continually had trouble judging the ball.
That's true. Very true.
And we had mentioned that the white seats have hurt, and I think it's a combination of the lights and that, but Eddie Bates made a good recovery after initially coming in on the ball, but just couldn't get it. That was scored a triple.
Well, that's got to give Fuelex a lot of confidence, too, because they got the hit off Mr. Young, who's probably one of the strongest closers in the league.
And how about Caparella? Here's a guy who's the only reason he's playing is because Mark Bergstrom's on vacation.
Whoa, boy, that one went by.
Shover fouls it off.
It's a critical at-bat here, too, for Dr. Connor. Now it's important for them to keep their heads up. They just give up 2 runs in the 6th on kind of a goofy play in right field. They still got another runner on third base here with 2 out. This batter and this runner at third is critical right now for the Washington Township side.
2-2 to count, and he takes something
Nice
off
pitch.
it and gets him for strike 3. But Fuelex causes considerable damage as it gets 2 runs in this inning on 2 hits. Scott Jerkowski.
A lot of activity in that last inning there.
Actually, it'll be Scott Jerkowski, Scott Young, who will be batting for Terry Tuttle and Chris Hoffman.
Interesting you mentioned about Scott Young. When you're a pitcher in the minor leagues, you usually don't get too many at-bats. So I'm wondering if in the minors he had kind of a layoff as far as being at the plate, and see how that's affected him throughout the year as a hitter.
Scott Young, one of 8 players that have played for John Bush at Washington Township that signed and played professional baseball. That's a pretty good record.
You know, you talk about some legends in the game and coaching in South Jersey, and when you think baseball, John Bush is right up there with the best of them.
1-2 the count through the middle. Jenkins makes the throw for the out, and Fuelex has been making the plays defensively here for the first out.
Nice play right up the middle. I think it caught the mound and slowed the ball up just enough for him to charge it. Brought it back into him. Really made a nice play running throw.
And that'll bring up pitcher Scott Young. In the order instead of Terry Tuttle, 0 for 2. It's interesting, this matchup now of former minor league players, John Githens and Scott Young. And you know, again, Howard, John Githens warned us that maybe after the 4th that velocity will go. We still have not seen any evidence of that. John is throwing very, very hard.
You never know. It might work to his benefit, too. Guys get used to seeing a certain speed ball coming by, and all of a sudden you start taking a lot off of it, and they thought they got you down to a science.
Githens really has a rubber arm. He said he was disappointed that Sunday's game was called in the first inning because of rain, because he was ready to pitch after going 7 on Friday. And I said, you really built up your arm. He said, well, in the minor leagues, I averaged 44 games a summer. You know, not all of them starting, obviously, but that's a lot of baseball throwing. As he strikes out Scott Young.
The Cecilio Guante of the Tri-County League, I guess you could say. And of course, we talked about he was worried about how much he'd have. It's amazing when you're in the final game of a championship and you have a 3-1 lead, how all of a sudden you still seem to have that velocity and don't seem to feel tired. We've talked about it for every sport, how those leg cramps just seem to go away, and just how when the adrenaline is flowing, you do some things that you turn your game up a level.
That's because there's natural painkillers involved in that adrenaline.
Chris Hoffman takes that first pitch for a strike. Hoffman officially 0 for 1 with a walk. He also has a stolen base. 1-1 to count.
Working very quickly on the mound as well, and that's where, see, the hitter right here is doing what he should do. When a pitcher is working quickly, wants to get right back on the mound and throw fast, that's when the hitter has to do what he's doing now. He has to step out. He has to take as much time as he is allowed outside the box and work at the hitter's pace and try and disrupt the pitcher's pace.
Yeah, well, if it were up to me, those hitters would have to be in the box at 10 seconds.
You like those speed-up rules in
Absolutely.
the high school tournament play, right, Mark?
Absolutely. Too much wasted time in this game. It would have a better flow to it, as that's out of play.
And you mentioned the speed-up rules. We see that every year in the Diamond Classic in South Jersey, which is a tournament maybe with the best teams across the area every year. And it's great to see the speed-up rules, and the games don't take longer than 2 hours. And, yeah, I agree. I would like to see those rules more in place during the regular season, also during Summer League. But, hey, if you're the batter, you got to use every advantage you can. And as long as those rules aren't in there, work at your own pace.
Yeah, but you know what? Even if you're the batter and you do that, the bottom line is you still got to step in and hit against this guy. Exactly. I don't care if you get a 10-second break, a 20-second break. That's outside. Rayo with the block. 2-2 now.
For many of our Washington Township residents, and also for many of our viewers, of course, who catch Brooklawn, Mike Scappa is perhaps the best in the game at frustrating the pitcher and working at the hitter's pace.
And he gets him on a called third strike. So no runs, no hits, nobody left on base. We're 6 down, 1 to go here in the Scott Young. By the way, Scott Young, even though he gave up the 2-run triple, his streak of not allowing an earned run in 2 years remains intact. Both runs were charged against starter Pete Conlon.
But now for the Fuelex batters in the top inning, this is tough. You go from a guy throwing a knuckle junk ball to Scott Young up there. It's quite a change of pace.
Tad fouls that off, and quickly Young is ahead 0-2. Mark Narducci along with Howard Clark and our guest Ed Bankin, a familiar voice to sports video fans, and also the voice and the sports director of Channel 13, Jones Intercable, where we're also proud to be airing this game. Kozaneski staying alive there, fouling off a couple of tough fastballs.
Yeah, that's a good job there by Tad on that pitch. He cut down on his swing a little bit, was more protective at the plate. That time he just kind of spoiled that pitch. It was a good pitch on the inside part of the strike zone. So now Tad just has to keep protecting and hopefully get a pitch he can drive.
He's got to work him. He's got to work him.
Ball low. Jerkowski, who has made a number of nice blocks in this tournament. Tad with 20 RBIs on the season. That's even more impressive when you consider he missed some time earlier in the year with injuries. Grounder, Scott Young, though, getting off the mound very quickly, and he'll throw the first for the first out.
Well, Legs, I know he wanted to get on big time tonight. I think he was taken back by the number 2 slotting in the batting order, too. Did you get that impression, Mark?
No.
No?
Not at all, Howard.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
I think he actually obviously likes batting second. Better Tad usually bats ninth, but of course with Mark Bergstrom out, that moves everything up. That moves Chris Shover, who's usually the number 2 batter, into the leadoff spot.
Outside.
I'll tell you what, too, in all fairness to our usual broadcasting partner down there, that was a nasty pitch by Young at 1-2. Just a downright nasty slider that was breaking just on the outside part of the plate.
I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier calling this game watching Scott Young and company pitch than actually hitting against these guys, as Young gets ahead of Rayo 0-2.
That's why I intend to stay up here for probably the rest of my life. I wouldn't have a prayer and heck to be able to hit a ball off Scott Young.
Well, we heard some rumors about your exploits on the Jones Intercable softball team. Something about a collision or something at home plate with you involved?
Well, we were playing, I won't say the local business, we were playing another team in the league, and let's just say a large man the size of Godzilla plowed into me, and the next thing I knew, the trees were humming and my head was throbbing, and after my mild concussion got diagnosed, I managed to somehow come to my senses and did what anyone would do in that situation, go home and watch hockey.
Any truth to the rumors that you became the DH after that game?
Yes.
Ground ball to third. Ferrara with a long throw. Conlon making the catch, and a very difficult catch. Makes it look easy for the second out.
Actually, the outfield was nice and far away from those big runners as well.
Speaking of big runners and big players, up to the plate now is John Hughes there, number 19. John's had a good night. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI base hit in the first inning, a stolen base, and he's hit the ball deep on 2 flyouts, to center and to left.
Now he's got a long drive tonight, and not having those lights out there at the start of the game probably is going to back him up another half hour. It's going to add another half hour to his life tonight.
For those just joining us, John is going to be going to Duke University immediately following this game, driving down to Durham, North Carolina, where he attends college.
I would say that's a pretty fun day. You go play for a championship, and then you drive down to start things at Duke University. I mean, I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good day that most people do not get to experience.
Now I know I'm old, because I'd say I'd have to have a nap before I started
out.
out.
Absolutely, me too. I don't call a 9 to 10 hour drive down to North Carolina a lot of fun.
First of all, I'd have to stick around and celebrate with my teammates a little bit. See, I mean, you just can't run out to the parking lot and go for a 10-hour drive. I just can't buy that. But there's only so much time in a day, you know? So you got to do what you got to do.
3-1 the count to John Hughes with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning, and Fuelex leading 3-1. The winner receives the Carter Cup as there's a ground ball, and that'll drop in for a base hit.
Ball had eyes.
Yeah, I thought Ferrara might have a shot at it, but it was hit too sharply, and John uses a 2-out base runner. As we mentioned, the Carter Cup goes to the championship of the Tri-County League. Last year, the Rough Riders, defending champions. Of course, Dr. Connor beat them in the playoffs this season. Dr. Connor was in the final last year. Won the championship in 1990, so this is a team that has been around contention for quite some time in this league.
And that was very satisfying for them to get a little payback from last year, of course. And, you know, we talk about two powers in the Tri-County. Dr. Connor and the Rough Riders are a real good series, but Dr. Connor getting the upper hand this year.
John Githens now takes the first pitch for a ball. John's pitched an outstanding game. He's 0 for 2 at the plate with a walk. Scott Young, just a token throw of the first. Inside for a ball.
I'll tell you, everything Young's throwing to the inside right now. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he's not afraid to back off the batters. If you're a Dr. Connor fan, at least one glimmer of hope is the fact that you'll have the top of the order in the bottom of the inning. It'll be Kupiec, Kerner, and Dan Barber.
Another reason you might see Young working inside a little bit here is he got the first two batters out with those sliders breaking out and away. And when a pitcher is established as Young is throwing a lot of pitches away, he might want to start come back, change the pace a little bit there. And now he's throwing a lot of pitches inside.
Just put the emery board away. No, I'm only kidding.
Young again misses inside. 3-1 to count now to his counterpart on the mound, John Githens.
Well, you got the camera, Howard. Do you see anything that maybe we don't or that we should be seeing down there on the mound?
You can't see when a guy turns his back on the mound, you know.
Full count.
But you got a boy in blue back there, too, you say?
Second base umpire,
Yes.
Rich Brash. So with the count full and 2 outs, Hughes will be going at first base. And he strikes Githens out. He's had an outstanding summer. He hit .440 in the regular season.
Well, you want a guy that's going to get you going here in the top of the late hour, and he's the guy you want up there.
There's a strike. 1-1 to count to Dave Kupiec. Saw in attendance one of Dave's former assistant coaches, Dan McGettigan, who's an umpire in South Jersey. Used to work at Paul VI, Haddon Heights Legion team. 2-1 now the count to Kupiec. John Githens has gone all the way here for Fuelex. There's a strike, 2-2.
You're talking about that guy there. He's sitting right here. Let him. If you hear somebody that's real loud in the background, that's Dan right there.
You know, John Githens was saying the life of a minor leaguer is not always that colorful. He says, you know, the most I ever made as a minor leaguer was $1,600 a month.
Yeah. We talked to Kevin Finan, the Philadelphia's pitcher.
Sure.
Same thing. He says it's how much he made.
Well, you talk about guys just playing for the love of the game, and a lot of these guys to try and stay sharp will play winter ball, say in the Mexican leagues too, and the situations can be even tougher down there.
Well, he also said it was tough to get a job because in the offseason they know you'll be leaving. As he gets him on a cold third strike for the first out. John Githens has now struck out 7 batters here as he faces his friend Dave Kerner. Kerner 0 for 3, did reach base on an error.
Githens got to stay focused right now. You know, the lead is not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll tell you, he is still popping that ball.
He is.
Well, John knows he has about 8 months to rest his arm until next season. Inside, and again, interesting that the two former minor league pitchers, Givens and Scott Young, certainly not afraid to go inside. 2-0 the count to Dave Kerner. Probably will take a long look at this one, just doing anything to get on base, as he is taking all the way. 2-1.
Looked that baby right into the glove. He wasn't real happy with that call, but it looked good from here.
High, 3-1.
Hey, while we got you here, Eddie, I personally want to thank you, for everybody at Sports Video, for helping us out there down at Jones. We really appreciate the exposure down there.
Well, we'd like to thank you, gentlemen, here at Sports Video, because it's a great chance for a lot of our viewers to see some of their people in their own town, a lot of the players that they've known for a while. We appreciate your help and the fact that you allow our viewers to get a chance to see a lot of their hometown players, and we have 2 local teams here.
Full count now on Dave Kerner.
It's a veritable love fest now, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, enough of this mushy stuff here. Strike 3.
You want non-mushy stuff, you got it there on that pitch. You talk about Givens toughing it out for 7 innings, and again, how he didn't know how long he could go, and he didn't know how much velocity he'd have left. I'd say he had some good velocity on that last pitch.
Well, it's interesting now. That was the 8th strikeout by John Givens, and he's gotten 2 strikeouts in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 6th, and now the 7th.
And what a big out that was when you've got a guy like Dan Barber, who with one swing of the bat can send one to the Philadelphia skyline.
Yeah, Dan Barber at the plate takes that pitch for a strike. He's 1 for 3 with a double, and he hit that double in the 5th inning off a 3-2 pitch. There's a 55-foot pitch into the glove of Rayo. Rayo, another outstanding job defensively this evening for Fuelex.
Oh, boy.
Boy, there is pure heat. Dan Barber was thinking of nothing but touching them all on that one. Going for the long ball that time. 1-2 the count now.
As sore and as tired and as painful as he is right now, he's going to dig deep.
John Givens, 10-1 on the season. Looking to close things out for Fuelex. In only its 2nd year is 1 pitch away from winning the Tri-County Championship. That looks like a knuckle changeup or something.
Good 1-2 pitch to try in that situation.
Don't want to mess around too much, though, with Barber. Put one high in the strike zone.
There's that sidearm. See that?
Outside. Count's now full.
And that's it, Howard. You mentioned it. He's going sidearm. He's dropping down on his delivery, and that's why you saw that pitch go outside. He has to follow through here.
3-2 the count. 2 outs. Barber pops it up. Schober in center field. Way back, way back. That ball is out of here. It looked like a routine pop-up. And the next thing you know, they're calling a home run for Dan Barber. Was it me, Ed, or did that look like a routine fly?
You're not the only one who thought that, Mark, because Givens turned around and put his arms up in the air as if, okay, let's start celebrating. And we mentioned all during the early part of this game how the ball was simply not carrying as opposed to the other night. Well, I don't know if the wind has shifted or there's something in the air.
Well,
some
yeah.
smog came across the Delaware or whatever, but that ball we've seen since the last couple innings is beginning to pick up. There you go, look at the flags, and now the wind is starting to blow out.
This is the first time we've had wind tonight. It's been very, very stable and virtually no wind at all. And guess where it's flying to? Out.
And, you talked about Dan Barber, the kind of guy with his strength, he gets a hold of one in a situation like that, he's going to put it out.
Well, Givens thought it was a final out. I thought it was a final out. But it doesn't matter what we thought. Dan Barber now with his 2nd home run in this championship series, as Pete Conlon was going for the fences that time. He misses for strike one.
And again, we can't stress enough the importance about getting that lead runner out. Either one of those two runners get on before Dan Barber, we got a tie championship.
Outside corner, strike two. Givens ahead, 0-2 to Conlon.
What an exciting game this was tonight.
Pete 0 for 3. Yeah, game two wasn't too shabby either. An 8-7 game where Fuelex rally just missed in the seventh inning.
Do you think I'll get the score right this evening? What do you think the chances of that are?
I think it's even money right now. Our motto at Sports Video, we take our jobs, not ourselves, seriously.
That's right. That's exactly right. I like that. That's bumper sticker. Can we get those printed up?
Larry Anderson said you can only be young once, but you can be immature forever, and I think we are the shining example of
there
that
you
right
go.
here.
Never grow up.
Let's not go too far. Conlon hits one to center field.
That's high.
Shover making the play for the final out, and Fuelex is the 1994 champion of the Tri-County Men's League. The second-year franchise has done it, defeating Dr. Connor 3-2 on an outstanding effort by John Givens, who wins his 11th of the year and never won any bigger. John Givens ends up as the winning pitcher in both championship games.
An outstanding game, guys.
Yeah.
Eddie, thanks for being with us, too. We're going to try to get down on the
season. This was absolutely great. I'd like to have a round of applause for both teams. What I'd like to do again is take this time to thank West Effort Township for supplying this facility for us, which really made this whole event, what it was in the last week. It's really been great. Thanks to the mayor, and there's a numerous amount of people that I have to name. I'm just going to thank everyone from this West Effort complex. I'd like to have a round of applause for them too. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to start tonight by presenting the League Championship Trophy, which goes to Cherry Hill with a record this year of 21-7. Cherry Hill, do we have a representative from Cherry Hill? Kit Lard. For a great season.
Thanks a lot.
There you go.
Thanks a lot.
We have a check here for you too.
Take the check.
You'll take the check, right?
Hold on. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for a good season. Next we have our second seeded team in the league with a record of 18-9-1. Our opposing team tonight in the playoffs, Dr. Connor. Pete Conlon and Dan Barber.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you.
Listen, it was a great tournament. It was a great job tonight, fellas.
Thank you.
Good season. Okay. Now we've got the Eastern Division winners. We'll do both of these at the same time so they can come out and get both trophies. The Eastern Division winners, 16-10-2, is Fuelex, and also the 1994 Carter Cup winners of the tournament. Fuelex. So the whole team please come out. These guys, for the second year in the league, have shown us things can really happen when you put together with good ball players and good hard work. There you go, fellas. Congratulations. Get a picture of all of the video here, guys. Gotta look in the video. Let's show her hold it. You can't hold it.
Look at it. Come on, Bill. You can make it. There you go. Nice job.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
Nice job, guys. Thank you. We're going to interview some
Thanks
people.
for a great series,
So
guys.
pissed off. The guy that got the hit was the guy who got
I'll get you small for this. Mike, man. Tell you.
We get to keep that for a year?
Yeah.
We're going to send everybody over.
Welcome back here. Mark Narducci here with Mike Bergstrom. And Mike, first of all, I have to apologize. We were not alerted to the fact that you pinch hit. You got the big 2-run triple. So first of all, my apology. Secondly, you get a triple off a guy that hasn't allowed an earned run in 2 years. I mean, what were you thinking going up there in that situation?
Well, the guys were telling me, you know, what he had, and I faced him last year. And I knew, you know, he was pretty quick, and I knew I had to have quick hands out there. And when the first 2 pitches came out, I knew I had to come through for the, the third pitch was coming at me, and I knew I had to hit it. So I just stuck the bat out and just got contact with it.
Yeah, what was your immediate feeling when you knocked in the 2 runs and you're on third base?
Well, when I hit it, I thought he was camped under it, so, I started trying, and he kept going back. So I got on my horse as soon as it went over his head. And I turned second. I said, there's no way I'm going to third. So I got there, and I told my coach Joe, I said, you guys ain't used to this, and neither am I.
Yeah, because you come off the bench, you had been in as a pinch runner before,
Yeah.
so you weren't totally fresh, but you hadn't been getting a lot of at-bats, and to face a pitcher like that, is there an intimidation factor at all? Because this guy really mowed you guys down in game 2.
You can't let it get it down. You can't let that get at you. You gotta, keep going at them, and you can't let that bother you.
Have you ever had a bigger hit? I mean, any little league, anything before?
I think this has to be the biggest because of these guys and everything. To come through for these guys, it's unbelievable. It's like a dream.
Yeah, well, congratulations,
Thank you.
and again, sorry about the misidentification, but the most important thing is you got the hit,
That's
you were
right.
on third base.
That's right.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, I think we have Bill Giulio here. Bill, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Bill,
Very much.
we mentioned on the telecast, you were way less than 100%. The hamstring, we could tell, was bothering you running. Just a gutty performance. First of all, how did you physically feel by the end of the game?
Well, the last out I felt great. Yeah. But before that, not too good. But I think the kids keep me going, and it's great to be surrounded by youth. I'll tell you, and it reminds me of the minor league park when I was at. We had won a championship many years. I don't even want to tell you how many years ago. But the fans standing around, and this was great. I mean, the people really support the program, Fuelex, and then Tri-County League. I enjoyed it, and the kids in there. I have to call them kids. They're great. Really nice.
How about the significance? You score the lead run. Your son scores what eventually is the winning run. Now that's extra special for you.
Yeah, I have to say it's happened before, but every time it's a new experience. And look, I love my family, and it's my high is not even winning a championship, but having my boys play with me and the support of my family.
Bill, did it ever cross your mind, because you were really hobbling, of maybe not playing tonight? Did that thought ever come through?
No, it never did. I mean, it hurt and I was down, but it never crossed my mind. It hasn't in the first 55 years, so maybe someday around 80 it'll cross my mind that I should be out of there. But I think the adrenaline flow kept me going, and if I think I'm hurting the team drastically, I'll get out.
Yeah, the other thing is you get 2 hits tonight. You're getting your bat on the ball. You said you'd been bothered by the hamstring and it actually hurt you swinging. The back was hurt. Did you cut down your stroke at all?
Yeah, I opened up. I turned my right foot out and brought my hands forward a little bit, which cuts down the stroke. I still was able to pull the ball, but the pitches were in on me. So they made some bad pitches, and I capitalized on it.
Hey, what an exciting series, too. I mean, even the game you lose, 8-7, you guys came back in the comeback, and then this one, a one-run ball game in the finals. I guess this is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, this makes it exciting, and it's too bad that the major leagues are on strike. I'd love to play up there one more time, and I'll only do it for $1 million.
Well, Bill, congratulations. Great season, and you were a real inspiration to a lot of the players. Best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. The manager, Joe, how are you? Joe?
Unbelievable.
Joe, I botched it by not knowing that Bergstrom was in there, but you're the guy that made the call. What went in your mind, your decision to pinch hit for him?
Well, Mike's done it for us all year. We've done whatever we asked him to do. He came up big for us. I knew he was going to lay his bat on the ball. There was no doubt that he was going to at least make contact. He put it in play.
Hey, they wet my magazines. Wait a minute. Sorry, Joe, but they didn't want me to tell you that.
That's all right.
Hope you brought an extra shirt. But anyway, you said the guys did it this year. It's really a real achievement, the second year of the program, to be able to win it.
Thanks. I guess when we first started out this year, we were, I think, at 1.4-7, and we had a big team meeting after a game we had gotten blown out by. And I said I thought we had a good team, and we weren't playing like a team at that point. And then after that, we started playing as a team, made some position changes, and the guys just gelled as a team. And after that, I think we went on a 16-2 run. And, we lost one game in the finals, and that was a close game. I thought we were going to pull that one out.
What can you say about your workhorse, Johnny Githin's on the mound?
Well, the guy, he wanted to relieve when he came to us this year. And we lost 2 starters. Ted hurt his shoulder early in the year, and then another guy hurt his shoulder early in the year. And John just stepped up. He says, Joe, I'll start. And he took the ball from then on. And every time he went out there, and we threw some bad lineups out there, and when he was pitching, we knew we were winning. It was like win night. There was no doubt about it, we were winning.
Now, John told me he was ready to go Sunday and all. He was ticked off that it got rained out. But how about the extra rest? I would think it really had to help him.
I think it helped him. I mean, because he was still bringing it in the 7th inning. I mean, he was throwing gas.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was going to strike the side out. I really did. I mean, what can you say about the guy? He's the consummate professional. I mean, on the way over here tonight, I drove him to the game. He guaranteed a win. What more can you do? You guarantee a win. You go out there and do it. That's what he's been doing all year.
Joe, it's a happy moment for you. Congratulations.
Best moment of my life.
Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now we have John Githens coming in. John, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You threw us off a little bit, though. You said, hey, after the 4th inning, I usually start to lose it.
I did. I really did.
You could have fooled us.
I wasn't throwing that hard. I really wasn't throwing that hard after well, I'm going to say after the 6th inning. 6th and 7th inning, I was really starting to labor a little bit.
I'll tell you what.
You could tell. You really tell my ball really started sinking a lot more.
Did it?
Yeah, well, it usually does. Once you lose a little velocity on the ball, it usually goes down.
But ironically, you got 4 of your strikeouts in those innings. I mean, so the batters must have thought it was still coming in.
I actually pitched. I actually threw the ball to spots. And, I didn't try to overpower guys, and I pitched to their weakness, effectively. So,
tell me the truth. That home run that Barber hit, I called it as if I thought it was a pop-up, and it looked like from your reaction you thought that was the 3rd out.
Well, I hope we don't have this play on this field again next year. Holy cow! It's only I think it's like 360 to center. I mean, I only pitched in one park this small before, and it's it's not real fun to pitch. In a pitch in a park. I'm surprised the score was 3-2. Ball really wasn't carrying as well as it was in the past 2 games either, though. So, I mean, it's just I just credit most of the guys on my team. They just made most of the plays. They did their everybody did their job, and they got me enough runs.
Yeah, obviously you can't say enough about a guy like Bergstrom who came in and got that pinch hit triple.
Well, to tell you the truth, Mike's been a sparing player the whole year, but he's been the biggest player of the series so far. He's made the difference, and that's a lot of guys knew their role on the team this year, and I knew one of the Bergstroms would help us out, either Mark or his brother Mike. So I'm just happy to see us win the series. So
now, John, you've been in this league for a while. You've been in various leagues. Put in words how this championship feels to you.
It feels really good in the sense that And the league has really been kind of shit shabby, and I'm very, very disappointed with a lot of the things that the league has done for the league, the guys that have run the league, and this is what's August 23rd. I mean, our season was over a month ago. I mean, we've been playing. They got too many distractions, other distractions that are just ruining for the league itself. And they got to really iron some things out this winter, get themselves together to make this league the league that it should be, and not have so many other distractions.
Okay. Well, listen, enjoy your championship.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. John Githens, who did an outstanding job pitching. And now we have some of the guys from the Dr. Connor team. Pete Conlon, Dan Barber. Pete, tough to lose a game like this, but you pitched your heart out, a well-pitched game. And, it's a game of breaks, and a ball may be misjudged in right field, and that's the difference.
That's baseball. That's going to happen. It's tough to lose a game. We were in the game the whole time. I thought we had a chance to win. Better luck next year, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult because only one team can be a champion. You've been here 2 years in a row, yet you don't have anything to show. So I guess in a way there's some disappointment that way.
Yeah, we're turning into the Buffalo Bills of the Tri-County League. So, maybe next year we'll get the same squad out again and we'll get the job done.
I know obviously you want to win, but the competitiveness of this championship series, from a baseball standpoint, from fan, you can't ask for more. Your one-run win last game and this game tonight.
Yeah, the league is definitely competitive. We know a lot of the guys on each team, and that makes it a lot of fun. There's ragging going on, but everyone's after the game's over, everyone's their friend.
Tell us about Githens. He says he wasn't throwing as hard in the later innings. It looked pretty hard to us from up there.
Well, in past years, John's thrown a lot harder. He threw a lot more this year than he had in the past. He'd been mainly used as a closer. With Fuelex, they wanted him as a starter. The kid was a double-A pitcher for 7 years, and he's up there in the mid to high 80s when he's on. Tonight, I don't think he was throwing quite that hard, but he's still a great pitcher. I mean, we only had 3 or 4 hits, I guess. And he's a great pitcher.
Yeah, one of them was your home run, Dan. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a game-ending pop-up. Did you think that thing was going to go out?
Well, I went with the philosophy of I watched it, but it was either if it was caught, if it was caught, if it went out, it went out. These fences are very charitable. The center field 350 maybe. I think that ball went 351, but. The first game there was 8 home runs, and then this game there was 1. So the short fences didn't come into play today, which was good like the first game. But like you said, I thought it was pretty much a pop-up also. But with the wind was blowing out a little bit, might have helped it. I got it up in the air and I went out of the park.
Dan, as I was saying to Pete, even though you lose a great series, two great teams, and obviously your team doesn't have to hold your head down low. You played an outstanding series.
No, there's a lot of teams that wish they could even be here. I mean, we've made it 2 years in a row. Some teams can't even say they've made it to the quarterfinals. So being here 2 years in a row shows that our team, I wouldn't say is a dynasty, but it's one of the stronger teams in the league to make a showing 2 years in a row to the championship, especially with we had Bridgeton going on. We had to use pitchers there. So, we had a lot of pitchers to throw in a short amount of time, and we were able to get the job done, and I think that's credit to our pitching staff for how many innings they've had to throw in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks for coming on with us, and congratulations in getting to the finals. Pete Conlon, Dan Barber, they've had outstanding seasons for Dr. Connor, which is, again, in the championship final 2 years in a row, just coming up a little bit short. Now we want to get Tad on the post-game show too, because we have to get his comments on it. Hey Tad, can we get you over here? Tad talking to the Washington Township players there and giving them congratulations. A lot of sportsmanship in this league. Tad.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I
shouldn't be doing this, but I guess since I'm in sports video, I can do this.
Congratulations. First of all, your thoughts of winning this prestigious championship.
I'll be honest with you, Mark, it still hasn't even sunk in. I've never been more nervous for that last at-bat in my life. I mean, I didn't even care what happened. We were just so much filled with anxiety that last inning. And when Bill came up and got the hit, and I'm sure you mentioned, Bill pulled his hamstring early on in the game, and we knew a Bergstrom was going to win this game one way or another. We thought it was going to be Mark, but Mike came up, and Mike hasn't played in a few weeks with us, and that was probably one of the most exciting hits I've ever seen in my life against a pitcher who's outstanding.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have to give a lot of credit to obviously Scott Young, but also Pete Conlon. He really battled you guys.
Well, me personally, I couldn't touch Pete, on the best circumstances. Pete throws that knuckle curve, and that is just one tough pitch to hit, Mark. And he just pitched a tremendous game. That's why I went over to him and said, great job. It's a shame, I'm sure, as you guys were saying, it's tough. Somebody had to lose this, but great game. And, of course, Danny had to put a scare in us by sending that ball over the fence. And it was just fun. It was fun to be out here tonight.
Yeah, let me ask you, I thought Danny's hit was out number 3, game over. I thought it was a routine pop-up. What were you thinking when it first left?
I really wasn't running in and getting ready to high five. I thought it was an out too, Mark. I was running in, and it just he got enough on it. He's a good hitter, and he got it out of the park.
I'll tell you what, Tad. Beginning of the year, when you had that tough game,
That's
you
right.
lost.
You sat there when we lost 21 to whatever.
It was 21-1 or something to Vineland. Believe me, the last place I thought you'd be would be in the championship here. This team really came together at the right time.
Yeah, and it all comes back to pitching. You had, even though Chris Shover lost, he's pitched outstanding in the playoffs for us. And Johnny Githens has just been an all-star hitting and pitching. And without Mark Bergstrom, still, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we were really down tonight because Mark wasn't here tonight. I mean, we really felt like we had our backs against the wall. Joe did the best he could at third. We had the hobbling guy at second base, Mr. Julia, doing the best he could. So we just figured, hey, we said, John, you gotta throw a 5-hitter, and John threw one of the best games of the season. So we owe a lot to John.
How about the guttiness of the team? John's had the knee injury, Bill Julio with the hamstring. A lot of guys are bumped and bruised, and I guess it even makes it more special winning under some adverse circumstances.
You would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the dugout when we were thinking about pitch hitting for Mike, with bringing Mike in there at the time, because half of us were like, let's do it. What do we do? And then finally, John and Joe made the final decision. So they said, let's put Mike in there. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. And that's tough for Joe out there. Joe's a young guy. It's tough. I mean, we were all tight throughout, especially as the game got on and the closer the game got. We were all real tight out there. And it was exciting to see somebody like Mike come off the bench, come up with the big hit, and we were just thrilled to death for Mike.
Well, I wish I were a fly on the wall and I would have known it was Mike instead of the way I called it. But anyway, listen, congratulations. It must be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's the first time I've really won anything, Mark, in my life. And I know the guys in the team were all thrilled to death. And, and we want to thank Howard for coming out here. I know Howard's standing behind the camera there. And I got my father on this camera over here. And I got my brother on this camera over here. And yourself. I mean, I'm just thrilled to death that we could get this game on TV. So we can show to our grandkids down the line, and we just had a great time, and I'm just thrilled to death right now, Mark.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Congratulations. Tad Kozaneski of Sports Video, an appropriate way to end the coverage of the high school baseball season with Fuelex winning the championship of the Tri-County Men's League 3-2 over Dr. Connor. For Tad and his brother Brad, and for Howard Clark, Mark Narducci saying thanks for watching, and have a good evening, everybody.